Oh, hold up. There we go. I was muted. That shows how long it's been since I streamed. Everything ain't set right no more. And then even this is wrong. There's no background music. There it is. And let's turn that down to about there, maybe a little lower. I don't know. You can tell me if it's good. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I was streaming, but hey, you know, real life is real life. Travel's travel. Last week I was in Tijuana in Mexico, and I tried to set up a stream, but the quality was not coming through. For anyone who was live for like the 2 minutes that I tried, it was like worse quality than even some of those early Battle Hardens. All right, so wasn't able to quite pull through last week with any content. But that's okay. You know, that's okay. There's a lot of other really great content happening on YouTube right now. Shout out to 3Floating and the Red Zone Rogue and all them. They're putting out a series on the official Fab channel right now, which has been fun to catch up on. And then also shout out to my new favorite creator. Holy moly. Let me pull this guy's content up. 1 second. If you all have not seen this lovely man, Deagle. Deagle got second at, I think it was Calling Auckland, and he's only got 2 videos out. Only 2 videos. But his editing style, for someone who claims, oh, shy on camera or whatever, is just like, it's so well done. Like, he really has found his stride. Is very unique as far as anything I've seen on, like, Flesh and Blood YouTube yet. Just very minimalist, you know? Like, it's just a lot of him talking to the camera, quick cuts, you know, just kind of those quick beats of music in between screens. But it's explained really well. He's a funny guy, beautiful guy. So I've enjoyed it. Shout out to Deagle. Shout out to Deagle. He's a Lexi player though, so I'm only watching the videos so that I can be more prepared to beat Lexi, because Lord knows I don't play Ranger. Although this is the saga of Mansant where we cycle through tons of deck choices that are not Levi anymore. And, you know, I at one point said I was never going to play Illusionist. Now I do love Dromai. So who knows anymore? Who knows anymore? Let's see. Is everything going fine in the chat? I don't have this pulled up. Pentragarth, I see you're here. Cool. Cool. Well then, let's try to just jump into some games, because I've been absolutely loving playing Assassin. Honestly, no real explanation as to the why I chose Assassin to begin with. Giving away a playmat this weekend, dope. Oh yeah, that's right, Reese. Well, this weekend is the Battle Hardened Richmond, and I have been putting tons of work into this thing. Let me show you some things I'm working on. Actually, my mind's all over the place, but this is at least interesting to look at, I think. Let me pull this up. Images, hero lore. All right, check this out. Check this out. So, as part of the Battle Hardened this weekend, I really wanted to juggle what like the new player experience of a Battle Hardened is versus the people who are tuning in to actually, you know, see the competitive side of the game, right? When you're trying to, oh, Riz, is this you? Is this Jeff? I don't know if this is you, Jeff, but Jeff, if that's you, amazing. These altars are going to look so sick. So anyway, in trying to juggle how to make a broadcast appeal to both those who are tuning in for the competitive side of a Battle Hardened, especially one that's right before the Pro Tour. I mean, come on. It's going to be an absolute just marquee event for what the meta is going to look like leading into the Pro Tour. Now there's been enough time for people to start experimenting. Does Azuri come back like she, you know, did at Chicago, just out of nowhere, Sam Dando with that appearance? Or does she fall back down to just being a kind of second-rate disruptive aggro hero in the face of like Briar or something? I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. So I think this weekend is going to be really interesting for all the competitive players for that aspect. So then the question becomes, how do we still make the Battle Hardened interesting for new players who are tuning in? Because Outsiders did just come out, right? There are new people engaging in Flesh and Blood right now, either from like the Blitz decks that came out that 3Floating are putting out gameplay for, the fact that Outsiders is everywhere and everyone's talking about how fun the draft experience is. You know, so in trying to fit in where the newer players might have their moments to enjoy the stream, I've been making these like kind of intro pages for all the different heroes in Flesh and Blood. I'm only through Volcor and the pits right now. So a lot more to do. But the idea being, instead of B-roll, instead of like an ambient camera, I'm going to have these kind of running with some music. And that way, anyone who is lightly interested in Flesh and Blood, tuning in for the first time or whatever, they do have their piece of the stream where they are going to be invested in, oh my god, like look how badass Azuri looks. That's freaking awesome. What does she do? Well, she's an assassin of the pits. If I wanted to get started playing Azuri, okay, a little medium difficulty, that might be my stride. What booster set do I have to look for? Okay, Outsiders. What's unique about that set? Yada yada. So in trying to follow those threads of like what might be interesting to a newer player, I'm building out all these things. And there's some hidden jokes in there as well, hidden jokes. So I think that'll be really cool. I hope it lands well, and it's not necessarily more interesting than looking at, you know, some nice B-roll or ambient cameras or something. But, you know, I do need to dedicate part of the broadcast to new players. That's just, it is what it is. And all the better if more people join Flesh and Blood, right? So, anyway, best event stream quality by far. Oh, you have not seen nothing yet, my friend. Nothing yet. I have in the back. Maybe you can see it in the background. But let's go back to full screen. I really do need to pull out or put out some kind of video on like the back end of what streaming has actually just taught me, right? And what I can impart to you all. I think when I do this Instant Speed podcast with Flake, we might dig into some of that. But I'm going to duck out the way real quick so you can see behind me. You see this? There's one. Oh my god, I can't point. 2 lights there. There's another one over there. Anyway, yeah, I've been just, you know, running through the gamut of all the testing that needs to happen for the stream this weekend. But the main thing is that there's 2 brand new cameras that finally are hopefully going to replace the hand cam issue that I've been having, where those things just overheat and die. These ones are. They're not just 4K webcams. I mean, that was a nice solve in the beginning, but these are actually dedicated like 4K digital cameras. Sony's. All 3 of my cameras are Sony's now. We got the big boy, the overhead mirrorless camera. This thing is a monster. And then with those 2 supporting, I think it'll be fine. And I added a lot of lighting. I think lighting is something I kind of just ignored, but I had a lot of people chime in about the last stream because it was kind of dark. Just mentioning that like lighting will fix a lot of your problems. In terms of like graininess, because, you know, that's coming from low light compensation that the cameras are trying to solve. So anyway, just put a lot of work into this. Put a freaking ton of work into it. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be super exciting. Sam and Pankaj are back as guest casters. We'll be doing it all through remote casting. Because I did... Oh, actually, here's the other big piece of news. Man, we're not even talking about Assassin Army, but hopefully this is interesting for some of you. This little sucker is kind of the biggest deal in terms of upgrading the entire stream setup. So I'd looked into mobile hotspots before, and the problem always was the data was so expensive. You know, like even 50 gigabytes of data or something was like $300 for the month. And 50 gigs isn't even enough for 1 day of streaming. I only stream at like 1080p 30 FPS when it comes to the Battle Hardens. Because, you know, 60 FPS, there's no reason to. So we stick at 1080p 30, and even then, a like 11-hour Battle Hardened stream normally eats like 60 gigs ish, right? So that was the problem. I was trying to use like my phone hotspot because it was technically unlimited, but I would get throttled after 50 gigs. I had tried one of these for the calling, and it was just trash because I honestly don't even know what the problem was with that one. We couldn't troubleshoot it correctly with T-Mobile, so I just sent it back, got the refund. But I did some digging onto how to actually land one of these that had the data I needed, and it actually was pretty interesting. A little bit of a behind-the-scenes hack. I had to sign up for a business account with AT&T and actually claim Mansant and Media, as I'm calling it, Mansant Media, as a sole proprietorship, which I hadn't really done before, but it is technically a sole proprietorship. There's no paperwork I have to do on that. And so I had to talk to an AT&T rep and like convince them that I am running a business. And so I wanted to unlock like business rates and business deals, because for small businesses, they have different allotment of data at different prices that they can sell you. So when I signed up for this AT&T business account, I was able to snag an amazing deal, 175 gigs of data before throttling on this unlimited 5G hotspot for just $100 a month. That's insane. Like, that's crazy actually. I've done some testing with it. here, but I live kind of in the middle of nowhere, so the coverage isn't amazing. Just to begin with, you only get a few bars, but I looked into Richmond, and there should be amazing 5G coverage in Richmond. So this sucker, I mean, pretty consistently, I get like 80 megabyte download, like 20 megabyte upload. That is like 4 times more than what I really need. So please, for the love of God, please work. Please work. Please. I have no other option. But this will do it. I have faith. I really have faith. Anyway, that's all the stuff that's been going on in the background to best prepare for the stream this weekend. A lot of other smaller editing. I mean, you'll see all the new overlays and things like that come this weekend, but those are the main things that I've tried to mess around with for the best viewer experience possible. Catch up on chat here. Rizzle says, no, this isn't Jeff, but you're helping him with it. Oh, sick. Okay, so yeah, you're aware of the marvelous altars, and I mean, they truly are marvelous. The dude's awesome. As a Baltimore native, you're super excited to have everyone come here for the PT. Oh, that's right. I have things to deliver to you as well. Don't let me forget. I think it's like a 5-pin or something. Maybe it's the playmat. I forget what you won, but I recognize the name. You want an Azalea altar like the one you just showed? Well, you should message. I think the link might be in the YouTube description for the Battle Hardened. Marvelous Altars is the guy who does them. It's this guy, Jeff. He's become a good friend of mine. He's been super helpful whenever I had things to talk to him about for like Photoshop or just formatting, whatever. The guy is a wealth of knowledge, and he does sell those altars, and they're not just printed out like on stock paper or something. He goes above and beyond. He'll actually take a Flesh and Blood like base card, right? So let's say you wanted that Azalea. Well, you'll get the Azalea token on the backside with the altar printed on the front other side of it. I don't exactly know the process of it. Like maybe he cleans it. Maybe it is just glued or whatever. But they look insanely cool. I've got a couple in person, and he's sending some more for the PT. Where'd you actually get the skill set for all this stuff? Trial and error? Do you actually have a background? It is all trial and error. It's a lot of Googling. It's a lot of trial and error. Thank God for YouTube. YouTube is just a goldmine for anything that you have enough time to like sift through and find the right content for. But yeah, it's a lot of trial and error and a lot of wasted money, because sometimes you're convinced that something's the right solve and you spend all your money on it, and then it turns out there was just a better way to do it that was maybe a little bit more expensive, but if I had just not jumped the gun and gotten the slightly cheaper option that had more hiccups and just waited for the better option, everything would have been saved. So that's why I eventually do want to put out kind of like a full behind the scenes of like what you need for like kind of a real mobile stream kit to function, because it's not as easy. Well, it technically is as easy as like a laptop and a webcam, but that'll get you what you saw at like the Calling Auckland versus what you saw at like Calling Indianapolis, right? They are different. Both are functional, but there's just a difference in quality, right? Okay, so anyway, let's jump into some of the other stuff. The Assassin talk. There we go. So, long story short, why have I been looking at Assassin? Because this is not the Azuri, like, aggressive, kind of good math style that I was playing a little bit ago. This is much more the fatigue route of Assassin that I've been exploring more so. You can definitely play Arakni and Azuri kind of as that same contract playstyle. I slightly prefer Azuri, just because Shakedown replaces a different popper that you'd probably add in this style of list. But for just the kind of, I guess, annoyance of my opponent, I've been playing Arakni instead, because there's, in person, I actually don't think I would play Arakni. I'd probably play Azuri. She kind of does the same thing, but a little bit better, because Shakedown is just better than whatever popper like this you're putting in. But for Talishar purposes, just because clicking is really quick, you can kind of go through all the otherwise like manual actions, like looking at the top card really fast. I've just been playing Arakni, whatever, same thing. But this style of deck, I think a lot of people find it annoying. But if you remember back to the most successful Levia lists in circulation, a Levia list that won not 1, not 2, but 3, maybe technically 4 different ProQuest/RTNs, it was Club Levia, right? Club Levia, which was a very grindy fatigue playstyle deck that basically grinded weapon value the entire game, also supplemented by big disruptive attacks with like Pummel CNC, into a late game that was either won through Reckless Swing or stacking barraging beatdowns. But it was just an absolute grind fest. Like, the deck didn't do a lot of damage. You had to just weapon grind until you reached your late game win condition of just being able to, close out games better than your opponent could due to pitch stack. So Arakni plays actually very similarly, and you're not going to get the same value off of weapons that was easily accessible to a Club Levi build where you just, pitch 1 card, swing 4. That's great. It's built-in breakpoint. Don't waste a card. But counter to that, you get a lot of 0-for-4s. And the 0-for-4s, yes, they're going to spend a card from your deck to play. So not the same as Swinging Club, but they also threaten to take a card from your opponent's deck, right? So they trade 1-to-1, 1-to-1 throughout the entirety to the point where your opponent maybe starts to have to block, or to the point where they realize, well, I can't maximize this hand anyway, so I do want to throw a card blocking here or there. Whenever they make that choice and actually still leak a damage through, then you're taking 2 cards for your 1. So as you play this entire game plan out, you actually don't need you don't need to do too much effort to just eventually start winning the game by fatigue anyway. It's really not a deck built to stack Eradicate. That definitely can happen, but you just have the natural numbers and interaction to whittle down your opponent's deck faster than your own is. There are some matchups where that's not quite the case, and those still tend to be quite hard, like Oldhim for one, right? Even Bravo that just like blocks 3, swings weapon, or just like, blocks 2, swings weapon. Like any way where he just doesn't spend a card attacking and just swings weapon is definitely pretty annoying. And so for that, there's some more aggressive decisions that I've put into this list that try to help play around that. Just kind of sit down at the table and know you lose because your opponent just like knows how to play the matchup, right? That doesn't feel good. But anyway, it is a very fatiguey control list, but I've really enjoyed playing it because it reminds me of Club Levi and is just like a little bit better than Club Levi, and you even have the same closing potential in Reckless Swing now with Flick Knives. So Flick Knives at a certain point just says if your opponent's at 2, like you win the game. If you hadn't used it previously to like throw a Nerve Scalpel, which definitely can happen as well. So anyway, the deck's just very similar to Club Levi, and that deck wasn't necessarily on a tear, but it had its meta relevance against like Starvo and Chain. It was a real thing back then. And once again, there is an opportunity here with Rangers being everywhere, potentially, to be a deck that just very naturally answers them. Of course, there are concerns about Assassin being weak to Dromai because you don't have a lot of poppers, but there is some play around that matchup that I think you can take advantage of into Dromais that are maybe not too experienced. I think against a really good Dromai, it's probably just a loss. And I'm still trying to figure out the Guardian matchup as well. So it's not a perfect deck by any means, but I've just really been obsessed with the play style of this style of deck because it's just so similar to the Levi deck that I loved. But it's a Levi deck I can't quite go back to because it is just categorically worse than this style of deck now. So anyway, all that to say, the deck's a lot of fun for me. Probably not for my opponents, not gonna lie. Probably not for my opponents. So let's jump into a game here. Oh, Dash is actually an interesting one. Oh, and someone already joined the game. Oh, and we have the new UI to actually play around with. Am I in the new UI screen? I am. Sweet. Competitive CC. Public, yes. Really liking Azuri. Working on a Blitz deck for laid out the cards, just haven't put the deck together yet. Okay, nice. So you're probably playing like a more aggressive version. And it's Katsu. Nice. Sure. I'll go second here. No reason to give Katsu the first real turn, especially when we do have enough disruption that we can probably force them to have an awkward first turn blocking. Okay, so against a Katsu, let's say hi, good luck. Oh my god, the music is too loud for me to concentrate on this. Let me turn it down. Turn this down. There we go. Okay, so against a Katsu, it actually can be really tough as well. This is another matchup where you should be able to burn through the deck pretty easily, but they can also fall back to just always Kadachi every turn, and that's pretty tough to get through because that is just high value. It's an easier damage rate than you swinging your weapons, but we can hope the opponent doesn't necessarily play it that way. We definitely still want to add in pretty much all of our blocking suite of cards. And run it at 65. I always keep in 1 Remembrance. You probably don't need 1 Remembrance in every matchup. It's just so high value now.
Wow, Ethan,
oh,
great move.
Thank you, Jacob. Subscription, thank you very much. I like just keeping 1 in because the opportunity to shuffle back like multiple codices, especially against Katsu, is just, it's going to be really strong. And then we're going to take a Nerve Scalpel and we're going to take a Spider's Bite, and that's going to be good. All right, new UI on Talishar. New UI on Talishar. I've actually gotten used to it now, thank goodness. Back when it first came out, I wanted to start using it, but it was just blowing my mind to wrap around like where everything was on this new screen. Now we're fine. Now we're fine. I've played with it a ton over the weekend. A ton. So we should be good. All right, so our opponent... This is one of the things that playing Arakni kind of does worse than playing Azuri. Whereas if you take Arakni, your opponent will just add extra cards in because they know that you have to play in such a fatigue fashion. If you play Azuri, then it's not necessarily telegraphed that like you are going to be playing a contract style of deck, right? So that can be a little rough. That can be a little rough. They also dropped a Time Snap, and this is probably going to be towards the play line that Nathan from the Card Guys was kind of like pushing for with this whole to beat fatigue, just drop Time Snaps and, you know, force these Magenshi turns to shuffle. So that's pretty dangerous to see right off the bat. So unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I kind of do just want to force the Surgical through with the buff on Concealed Blade. But if we want to keep our arsenal for Spreading Plague, then we have to just pitch here. Spreading Plague's not really strong in arsenal here, though. So I think we're just going to... Wait, oops, sorry. I already messed that up. I thought I was going to pay for the Spider's Bite. I should have sung Spider's Bite, not Winds of Eternity. Or not Nerve Scalpel. Winds of Eternity. Yeah, I mean, that card's useless. We'll just sink it. So they either give us... They can't 1-card block this because we did at least hit them with Nerve Scalpel. So they'd have to give us either a card plus equipment, like a defense reaction plus equipment. I guess a real card plus equipment. But they can't just 1-card block cleanly. It still should have been Spider's Bite, not Nerve Scalpel, I think. I just, in my head, was going to pitch a different way. But this is a yellow, not a blue. Spreading Plague on a Surgical this early, I don't think is super useful. Okay, so they're blocking like this. Interesting, which means they might throw a defense reaction, which will block 3, but then we can actually Flick Knives, the Nerve Scalpel, and Concealed Blade over. So that will actually work, which is kind of funny. All right, so Flick Flack is only going to block for 3 here. So we can Flick Knives the Nerve Scalpel already, make it only block for 2, and then Concealed Blade on top to replace it. I mean, sure, I doubt they have another Flick Knives. We're going for the super greed plays way too early. Way too early. Don't have another defense reaction, please. Please don't. Please don't. Yeah, we did it. We did it. We did it. Okay. So this is their hand. If we take this, that saves us from Kadachi damage. But, I mean, they're looking pretty happy to just 100 wins into Snatch. So if we get rid of the Snatch, then, like, you know, that protects us from the most damage here. This does give us the silver, and we don't mind blocking the Snatch because of these. But we do want to fight for Arsenal, so I think we're just going to take the Snatch away. And then we'll re-equip. We don't have the Nerve Scalpel anymore. This is a bug. I guess, and they already blocked here, so Scale Peeler is not useful, so it's Orbitoclast, and that'll be that. Yeah, just because our hand might look like this, let's take away the Snatch, right? Because this hand doesn't actually block a Snatch well. Whereas if it's just Kadachi into the 100 wins, sure, it's just vanilla damage, and that's actually fine. We'll eat that kind of thing in a hand like this. Well, that was a funny first turn of the game. Flick Knives is such a good card. Like, I just absolutely love this card. Alright, they're going to discard the Whelming Gust Wave. I guess we knew that was happening, right? So if we'd blocked with Flyandals plus a equipment, that'd have been really bad value on the Flyandals, but it would have prevented them from pitching this way. I don't think we mind them doing this, because at the end of the day, if they get rid of cards in deck, we are fine with that. So at this point, this is going to get us the heal and deny shuffling a card back in deck. So I think we'll block like that. All right, obviously we don't show the sigils right now. The fact that they block with 2 equipment pieces on that first attack of the game means the Leave No Witnesses is going to be really awkward for them. It's not a red, but we already banished a yellow Surging Strike, so if we're kind of just turning through those, that should feel pretty good for their whole shuffle play. So let's not sink it. I doubt this hits, though, honestly. Because we can't flick... No, okay, it did. Okay. Well, we got rid of yellow Surging, yellow Descendant. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, so they didn't want to give us 2 real cards. So instead we still took 2 real cards. They just weren't from the active hand. That's kind of how it trades a lot of the time. I mean, you're not taking a card from hand, you're taking a card from deck. So if your win con is to fatigue them out, I mean, great. You know, a card from deck is not going to stop the immediate damage, but it's going to then affect the amount of resources they have that you need to get through to win the game turn after turn. Well, we're never blocking the Kodachi anyway. We've got kind of the cheeky play of just leave no, cut to chase. Or leave no into shred. If we can keep both these blues, then we even have the play of, like, you know, swinging both weapons with Tunic into leave no on the shred, which would feel pretty good. Down and dirty in Arsenal, perhaps, as well. But there's definitely going to be more attacks coming, so let's not be too committed to that play. Now it's a yellow Surging. All right, we'll overblock by 1 anyway, because we haven't seen an Ancestral. And this should feel pretty fine. Natural Whelming. Honestly makes some sense. Not like we weren't going to block the Surging. I think we just give up the turn then. I think we do just have to give it up. It can't be a Magenshi naturally in hand. If it does hit and he pulls Magenshi, he'd have to discard this, but then can't pay for it. So if this hits, it's really the card draw that discards. The card he draws pays for Magenshi. So yeah, if we do this, I think it's just our safest option. It sucks because I really want to throw Leave No Witnesses, but I'm not going to sack an equipment piece just because he might have a natural Ancestral here. So let's just give it up. Definitely scary to just let them set up a new arsenal with no disruption. So maybe there's a world where blocking with Flick Knives and just forcing him to have Ancestral was fine. I don't like doing that, though, because that's kind of like a blowout situation you're putting yourself in. And Flick Knives would have gotten low value, because you don't really need 2 weapons. Okay. We just want to find a turn where it's some vanilla damage that we don't have to worry about too much. And then that can kind of set us into a loop of having just really good 1-card hands. Like in a situation like this, we can just throw a 0 for 4, Arsenal another 0 for 4, and then keep up at least a consistent 2 turns of minor on-hit 0 for 4s, which feels nice, builds up some silver. This just fetches a bond like a little too easily, right? And it's an easy block for us, so we'll do it. If they have an Ancestral here, that's honestly fine. It's got to get burned out at some point. So that was an Ancestral and Arsenal last turn. There you go. Well, we are happy we blocked the way we did. The man, the sant, the legend. I appreciate it, Z. I'm not a legend for my play. I'll tell you what. Not a legend for my play. But a legend for the streams I put together, I'll take that. You'll see this weekend. I am so insanely excited for this weekend. It's really all just going to come down to, does this freaking hotspot Function. Please, for the love of God, function. Yeah, so now we've got the Fate Foreseen at least. This should cover up the Mass Draw. If they want a Breaking Scales in this, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. If they want to get rid of Breaking Scales now, it's just kind of a raw damage turn. It's not the biggest combo. If they, like, Dishonor me, for example, Arakni doesn't really worry about that. Do I really want to draw Surgical or go ahead and get that to the bottom? It's a card we can naturally pitch anyway, but just because I want to find another 0 for 4 red, let's put that on the bottom. They would Scales, right, if you only blocked 4? Oh yeah, so also Scales, not just Ancestral. But they had the Ancestral. So it was 2 and 1. Either or. I really hope we don't have to block with one more card here. If they attack with this, then we will. Because this is the one from... That is the one from Banish, right? I believe. Yep. So really, if this is an attack, well, I will block it. I will have to block it. I don't want to give him free mask value in this kind of matchup. But if they just pass with Arsenal... Oh, wait, did I miss something? Wait, why are there 2 playable 100 wins in Banish? Didn't he... He banished one with Bonds, so that searches one. But he got the Bonds off the Katsu, did he not? He banished one from Bronze. Oh, and from the Katsu trigger. Oh, okay. Well, see. Okay, well, if this is the case anyway, then I might just let the draw through. These cards are more valuable to swing with. It's possible that the card draw is not really relevant anyway. This late in the game, like he's already paid for the Kodachis. So if it's like a blue, who cares? Soul Bead Strike, 0 for 4. Well, it's starting to be faced with a lot of damage here. It's still fine. Now just don't be a Snatch. Okay, so really all we did was give them a free arsenal at the end of the day. Instead of blocking with a card from hand plus a breakable piece of equipment. So I'm glad we didn't do that. We know that they run at least Flick Flack. So we're not necessarily going to get off our Black Tech Whispers turn. But you do love when that happens. So we'll see if it can come up here. So just because if it does hit, we want to see the multiple contracts on the chain. Let's go ahead and Plunder the Poor first. That will trigger the Plunder the Poor, so we'll leave it on top. Opponents normally don't block these. They're not the hit effect cards. They're not the big ones. Okay, but he goes ahead and does it. All right, so we can actually play around this then. They overblocked, but we still get full value on the hand, and we are going to be set to potentially throw another 2-card 8 like that again, which is where you get a lot of value. I mean, a 2-card 8 with like those minor hit effects, buying back all the equipment, really strong. You just want to find a window for that. But they didn't like their hand, so they go for a 2-card 7. We sunk a Surgical, but we found one anyway. Now with Tunic, we could potentially go Slay into Eradicate. Seems like that would be interesting. These cards are never getting played, but we could also have the line where we pitch into a weapon, Tunic for Surgical. That's also an option. Then that means we're blocking with the Eradicate. I think let's just block like this and leave ourselves open for... No, because that play is actually really bad if they do just overblock the Slay the Scholars. Then we can't do anything with those 2 cards. So I think to play it more for guaranteed efficiency with our hand, let's just go for the Dagger into Surgical. So we will have to block with an Eradicate then, but that's fine. Yeah, we'll block like this. Now, if we want to be really cheeky about it, we could go for Spider's Bite into Slay the Scholar, then into Surgical. That could also work, and I think we will go for that. They're more likely to let this hit. So let's see. Let's see if they do. That is an Art of War. I do like banishing that kind of card. It won't trigger the silver. I'm not going to sink it. I don't know how I would handle Arakni's ability in real life anyway. Like, it's probably so easy for your opponent to tell, like, what kind of card that is on top. Okay, so they're overblocking it again. Well, that's fine. I mean, we took 2 cards. We spent 1 card to take 2, and now we'll just set the Surgical in Arsenal. So I think that's still fine for us. But now we know that their next hand is going to be an Art of War hand, which is going to be relatively weak at blocking. So that's actually another big piece of information. They have an Art of War hand next turn, so they won't want to block whatever we do. And we have the potential here for like a Surgical into Codex type of turn with Black Tech. I don't think they give us Surgical. Like, they're not going to not block the Surgical, though, so that's a little unfortunate. We can't lead Surgical into Black Tech into a Codex type of turn. But what we could do is basically try to force the Surgical to hit. They likely block 5, not 6. So then Shred does something. But that's not a guarantee. That is not a guarantee. Okay, so let's just play this with full efficiency then. Because if they do block 6 and we know that it's an Art of War turn, I think I'm still fine with the fact that they went down 2 cards. What do they do with that Art of War? So in case they block 6 on the Surgical, we're going to block the full 7 here. We're fine to keep this. Because if we don't need to shred, then we just toss it in Arsenal. That is a Be Like Water. Relatively important card to banish. But since we're actually trying to get this hit effect through, I am going to sink it because I'm looking for a blue. Because I do want to start buying back those silvers. Interesting. He might be stream delay. The scales comment was when he thought about blocking Whelming for 4 with Flick. Alright, now this is kind of the thing I'm looking to punish, right? It looks like it might be a Flick Flack turn. Okay, that's fine. Now we shred it. We can get really greedy here and also just go ahead and mask. I think we will. There's a decent chance that we actually get the silvers off, so I do want to break mask, just because we could buy it back, because we'll be banishing 3. And that's 2 Flick Flacks down on turns that we were able to punish the Flick Flacks as well. That feels quite good. Feels quite good. Sink to find a blue, try to shred Surgical into Codex. I don't try to take the greedy lines with Arakni, because... sorry. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to mask. I know I did just see, but that's fine. I try not to take the greedy lines with Arakni because you tend to win through the very long game. And so doing a bit of like greedy lines is normally like just less consistent than just playing for max value per hand. You know, if I was in a tighter position, then like sure, I would make a play like that. But I'd rather just have like the more easily scalable hand with the Surgical there. And not... Because it was unconfirmed whether or not he'd block 6. It was unlikely, but if he did, then yeah, I didn't want to keep a hand around that. So... we don't know what he has in Arsenal. It was a randomly drawn card off of Mask, in theory. They have Tunic, so we definitely get rid of the Art of War. I'm just looking at the hand to remember things there. We got no silvers off those banishes, because we banished Spinning, Surging, Art. Well, we're down 3 Surgings. That's 3 potential shuffle targets off of the Lord of Winds line. We'd like to see that. This is another really strong hand. Just having Tunic up, we haven't really made use of it, because there's not like a curve that's very playable every Tunic hand, or every Tunic turn. But when things like this come up, right, we're able to pitch a blue for Spider's Bite, Tunic, CNC. Lord, that is painful for your opponent to block. Painful, painful. So we know this next card is a Bonds of Ancestry. Bonds of Ancestry would cost 2. So this getting go again only potentially lets him throw whatever this is. And then sets Bonds in Arsenal. So I actually kind of still want to block that, funny enough. That feels bad. Because we don't have an easy block on it. We don't have an easy block on it. But our hand also doesn't use these cards. I feel like they will throw whatever that is. But if I wanted to get guaranteed block value in the assumption that they do keep this in hand, I would want to throw one of these. I think we're fine with this. Because if they then do throw this card, that puts Bonds in Arsenal, and then we're going to hit the Arsenal with CNC. They time snap. Interesting. Then it's just a blue whelming. So now that actually turns on Bonds. Wow. Well, well, well. This has gotten pretty interesting. That turns on Bonds. Very unfortunate. Maybe we should have just blocked 6 there. Just don't be greedy about it. Huh. Blocking 6 on the Bonds, they'll still throw something else. So if I really wanted to deny Mask, it's throwing a card here, which feels really bad. But then I get decent block value of this here. Or no, the combat chain was broken because they used time snap. So we'll take this. That's right, combat chain is broken. So we don't care about Mask. Alright, so now we know that Dishonor is going to be the next attack coming in. It's going to come in for 4, and it will threaten Mask. I don't know if we really care about the Mask draw, because we're going to try to equalize that with our CNC turn. So if we just block for max health, which is 3 here, 3 on Dishonor, I think that's fine. They're going to fill their arsenal, but we're going to hit it. So I don't mind this. We're in the name of game. We're in the name of the game of, you know, exhausting cards. So even letting them draw this here, if they let it go, then cool. That's a free card we destroyed from their deck. So they do let it go. It was another Dishonor. Okay, that's still a card gone from deck. This is where it gets really tricky to really beat the Katsu, though. As soon as they fall into just feeling comfortable swinging Kadachi every turn, that gets really tough. Really tough. We've got some life gain around that. We've got like the Heart of Finals, the Finals Fighting Spirits. But we did already play 2 sigils, and we're still looking like this. Also, missing on so many contract triggers to buy back the mass definitely hurt. We didn't really bottom cards other than one time around trying to find cards to fill contracts, so that was definitely part of it. In this matchup, you probably do just go for whatever gets you silver, honestly. That's probably correct. Because the 1 life is a big deal in a game where they can constantly throw breakpoints, like they keep doing with Soulbeat Strike. If it's Ancestral, it's Ancestral. Oasis, not really good right now. We don't have Tunic up. Let's put that on the bottom. Alright. So our turn is at least throwing 7 off 2 and Arsenal down and dirty. Don't hate it. But we don't have our 2-card 8, which I would way prefer. This is once again one of those situations, right? This doesn't fulfill the contract, but then again, they don't really have almost any non-attacks, right? It would just be like potions. So I'm not going to dig just for a potion. I'll be fine banishing the Whelming Gust Wave. So let's not sink that. If we were digging for the contract, we definitely sink it there because we'd get one more look with the Cut to Chase. But, nah, I don't think it's likely enough. There's not enough non-attacks. So let's just do this. Alright, a little bit of life gain in this hand. We like that. But we have nothing aggressive to throw unless we try to sink the Slay the Scholars, basically. Try to find another 0 for 4.
Proud of you.
Thank you for that subscription. Huntsman is legit now? I don't know if Huntsman's legit. I just really enjoy the playstyle. Like, I actually really enjoy fatigue decks, like true fatigue, where there's more of a game plan to it than just like weapon grinding. Like the Club Levi deck that I played a long time with didn't just win off weapon grinding. Weapon grinding just got you to the point where you pitch stacked your win condition. Because by paying into club, you could pitch your barraging beatdowns, your blue sixes, your reckless swings, and then like that was how you won the game. So that was like a fun way to play, kind of like a fatigue deck. But you definitely had to just survive the entire early game to actually get to your win con. Arakni's a bit different. You still have that first part of the game plan where you just have to survive. Then the win con you're actually executing is just exhausting your opponent rather than like what you're actually pitch stacking. But you can do cool things on your own end, where you're pitching shreds, yellows and blues. Sorry, one sec. Next to like big blowout surgicals, like that kind of thing. You can still do some stuff, but those lines don't really win you the game on the spot like a full barraging hand into club did back in the day with my good old Club Levi deck. Okay, so right now... Oh, shit, sorry. Oh, sorry. Might be again. We've seen 2 Ancestrals gone, so now the decision is... Do we block just the 5? I think we block just the 5. We shouldn't have actually shown the down and dirty. We should have blocked with the Fighting Spirit. But now my opponent knows it's there, so... Oh well. They pitched their last Flick Flack. Okay, well we can't really punish the fact that they don't have a Flick Flack. I mean, we're really just looking to Arsenal to sink below in this kind of situation. Tank whatever the rest of the damage coming our way is. Okay, that basically ate both Kodachis. Oh, actually that didn't heal us, because were we higher? Were we at 17? Oh, I think we were. Interesting. Oh, we were actually higher. Now we're definitely higher. Okay, this could be a bit of a pivot for us. We're going into a Tunic turn. We don't really have a hand that punishes, or that abuses Tunic really well here, or once again, missing the 0 for 4s that would let us go like 0 for 4 into Black Tech Tunic Eradicate, which would be pretty cool. But if we're allowed to, Eradicate Pump with Cut, pretty low value, honestly. I don't think we're going to keep around that. We'll probably just Tunic Eradicate, and that should be good enough. Alright, Surging once again. So it's turn 10 here. We've sunk a couple of cards. They haven't drawn more than like maybe 3 or so. They haven't pitched Ancestral. So they're about a hand and a half ahead on draws. There's 15 draws before you see your full deck, but they were a couple cards up, so let's say like 16 hands. It's pretty likely that at this point they see an Ancestral. It's not going to be Ancestral and Arsenal. So we really want to block the 6. I think we do. I think I still will block the 6 on this. We don't really need those cards anyway. Now it's a natural whelming. Natural red whelming. So if we block 6, that plays around Breaking Scales and Ancestral. Well, we definitely have to block this way because of Breaking Scales alone. Oh, but they've shuffled with Katsu, so that's not even true, actually. The whole point of, like, counting through their hands. That's just a Baby Bonds yellow from Arsenal. At this point, they've got a couple of their 0 for 4s they can pull out. There should be... That's all the sold beads. We've also taken all the dishonors. So in terms of 0 for 4s, maybe they're out. It could just be the 100 wins. Or I guess the bonds that they're paying for. Okay. So they're going to hard pay for the bonds? Is that how it works? I'm not super familiar with all the Katsu lines. Because this is only free if the last card was Gust Wave. So that means they have another natural... Okay, another natural Gust Wave. Natural Gust Wave in this case, which then lets them play this Bonds and trigger the effect, come in for free. Well, that's starting to get pretty annoying. So if we want to deny the card draw, I think if we block with Flick Knives right now, that'll probably do it for the turn. Because if we block Eradicate and Flick Knives on the Bonds, I mean, why wouldn't they just Breaking Scales at that point? Because they know that the last card will hit. So I think we have to kind of do it here. And if they could Breaking Scales on this just to try to push the mass through. Yep. Okay. Now we'll see what they banish. It's a blue, it's a red Flusterfisk. Fist. God, these Bonds turns are just so free value. It's so easy for them to do. So free. I think we just have to let the mass then. It really came down to, do they Breaking Scales the Whelming or not? If they didn't, then, you know, fine. But even so, I don't think we can really block with Tunic and Eradicate here, because the Oasis then is never live off our Tunic, and that becomes super clunky. But I do spell, I do see Death on the wall here. I think it's likely over. Likely over. This is just too much value. Too much value coming from their end. Because in this kind of position, the fact that they have Kodachis just pretty much wins them the game every time. Even though we did get their deck down pretty significantly, we did go through quite a few power cards. It's not really going to matter. Because Kodachis we can't really beat. Spinning Wheel Kick. A 1 for 4. Sure. If my opponent thinks they win next turn, okay, go away card. Then they're going to say no blocks, and then maybe we can find some yellows. We didn't. We didn't. I don't know if you're watching on a delay or what, Teklo, but I already talked about Tunic. Now we're way too far behind to start making plays like this, but this is one of the stronger things you can do, is Nimblism into Codex, Leave No Witnesses. That play is just insane, but we're really not going to get there. Starts to be the problem here. And we still haven't seen the third Ancestral, so we're constantly living under that threat as well. I mean, we'll pretend that we can get to this. It would have been amazing like 2 turns ago. But from this far behind off of the back of a Bond's turn like that, it's not looking likely. Yeah, I think from turn 0, the play difference would have been to just always sink looking for silvers. If we did that on the maybe like 3 or so triggers that we didn't, we'd probably have like 1 more life to work with. Not huge. But then that also would have meant Mask is up again to use 1 more time, and maybe that leads into more silvers. So that could have catapulted things, but the turns where we tried to black tech, both times they did overblock. So well done on the opponent. I mean, yeah, there's pretty much nothing we can do anymore. Oops. Well, we lose this turn anyway, in theory. We couldn't keep a card. But it should have been block with Nimblism, not Codex. We're live at 1. Wonderful. We found our heart. Just a little too late. If they truly have like no cards in deck, you can get to the point where they Kodachi you block with 2 cards, but then your 2-card return is also, you know, swinging back with 2 daggers, and you're going to heal up off of the heart. So you can actually, like, kind of win if there's actually nothing else they do other than double Kodachi. But it's this kind of phase of the game where you don't beat double Kodachi. Unfortunate. Oh, they're going hard. Last Art of War. All right, GG's opponent. I mean, they were down to 11 cards left total. Oops, didn't say pass. GG's opponent. 11 cards left total. I mean, we're still pretty far off from, like, actually winning that game. Because there's just so much gas left in a Katsu deck when they can turn any turn into just leading with 2 Kodachis. That's just so much threat to deal with as an Arakni. Oh well. Definitely some play differences from turn 0 to make into a different Katsu. Also, maybe not running... You probably don't need to go above 60, because Katsu naturally churns through cards a lot faster than a normal deck. Just with the discarding, with the additional draws that they're going to cycle through with Ancestral and Art of War, right? So we probably didn't need to go above 60 and could have cut some 2 blocks. I'm not sure that was ever really a big deal, like getting caught with 2 blocks. I don't think really came up as like a problem, but anyway, things to change. Things to change for next time, for sure. Yeah, Bonds is pretty nuts, though. Pretty nuts. Oh, hello. But Katsu needed something. That card's just like a lot of juice all in one, which they gave to us as well. I mean, we have, well, not even like Assassin abuses it the most, but we do have Codex of Frailty, you know? That card is really good. That card is really good. So I'm not sure 3 down and dirty is really needed into Lexi. I've been running it against Dromai. Feels decent. But you can actually put it back in Arsenal with Codex, right? When they Codex is the last thing they do on their turn, you can try to just throw in a down and dirty, and if that blocks out a hit effect, that's probably more value than you putting a Leave No Witnesses, which then only comes in for 3. So I've been playing around with that. We'll see if it really comes up here. We don't really need 65 cards. We don't need the non-block in Remembrance. We are fine to not really go that hard for a fatigue type scenario. Minimalism also like isn't super relevant because normally when we return an attack, it's just the 1 card. Like it's just the 0 for 4. So I think we can go to 62 and probably feel pretty okay. And then we go Spider's Bite or Class just in case we ever attack with both, and that's good enough. You got a triple Bonds line in 1 turn in your last tournament. Descend it into Bonds 3 times. I was like, can't be mad. No, you can't be mad. You can feel pretty darn happy, though, after that. It's got to feel good as a Katsu player to just go that crazy. Now, it's not a traditional combo line. They gave you Descend it in Bonds. That doesn't count. Whatever happened to good old Surging Whelming? Okay. So, since it's Fatigue, we just want to throw... Since our game plan is Fatigue, we just want to throw the most damage we can. So that's just dagger into E-Strike, basically, and we will Arsenal the Codex. So we spend 1 card here to already take 3. We like that a lot for our game plan. They are running the literal pile. They're running their entire deck, but in my experience, that's actually not good enough still. And this is quite good. We have Codex and we found a Leave No Witnesses already. Oh, you were against the Katsu. Yeah, no. I mean, you can feel a little mad then. You're allowed to feel a little mad. If that was what your opponent did. Okay, so we can still throw a CNC, and they still have to slow down and block it, and we can keep the Leave No Witnesses in hand, I guess. Or we can... No, we can't even spend the whole hand for Dagger into CNC. We're 1 resource short for that, so... yeah, let's just do this. Sink Below isn't good in the channel anyway, so we'll just get rid of it. Make them give us 2 cards. They block with their own CNC. Okay. So we already like this kind of thing. I mean, they spent a channel. It's not really going to do anything in terms of like hindering our big plays. We don't really do anything off a large hand. We want to block down. So they just spent a card in deck for no real reason, where it could have otherwise blocked 3 or pitched 3. And into this kind of fatigue game plan, that's more relevant than just playing a channel. Now it starts to look awkward, though. We drew a double Codex and an Oasis without the Tunic up, so at least normally you can fix these kind of things with sync, but we can't sync into the channel. Well, we could. We just have to pay for it. So maybe that is worth it then. This does have go again, so their turn is just going to be, I guess, headshot into one more arrow. They could also throw the lightning surge if they wanted to. We can't really make these block the way we want to unless we give up every other card in hand, like pay for the sink below with leave, Oasis, the headshot. We might end up doing that. I think we can just Oasis this then. At least get the heal off of it. And then they do shoot one last arrow, which is a sleep dart. Okay. Okay, so I don't mind if we just block with Leave No Witnesses here. Then on our turn, we'll have Tunic up, and we can go Tunic, Sink Below to Spider's Bite, and then Codex the Leave No Witnesses. Really strange use of Tunic, but I think that's fine. It also guarantees to mill them a card because they don't have an arsenal at the end of this turn, so they will have to discard. And whatever they recur here isn't super threatening. We're always going to block out like an Endless Arrow. Yeah, so I think we'll do that. And we don't care about the Sleep Dart trigger either. Channel's broken, so play should be fine. Play should be fine. No, channel's gonna break. They only have the one ice card. Let's do that. They're more likely to block with their arrows for 3, right? So we'll swing Spider's Bite instead of Orbitoclast. They definitely have some block 3s, but we've already seen a channel gone. So we don't have to worry about that count on this turn. Codex is so good. Card's nuts. I do wonder if people would complain the same way if it was just Assassin locked and not Ranger locked. I think most people's complaints come from the fact that Rangers use it to recur just the super detrimental on hits after the fact they've dropped like a ton of pumps. Whereas Assassin can't really play that way because a lot of their pumps are in the reaction step. They're not buffs. So if you do try to just, endlessly loop, Leave No Witnesses every time, you can't preload the Leave No Witnesses except with something like Nimblism. So then the discard problem actually becomes like a real cost, whereas the Rangers don't really have to worry about it too much. All right, here's a situation I wasn't ready for. If we swung with Orbitoclast, their block would have looked a little worse there, but that's fine. Okay, they go for a 6-card hand. We have a CNC, so can't be mad about that. We'll swing with just both weapons as well. It should have been Orbitoclast first, honestly. But, okay, they're not trying to block anyway. This should be pretty awful for them. Pretty awful for them to deal with. We like that. They were trying to set up a 6-card hand. They gave us 3 cards and Perch. And we only spent 1 card to do it. This matchup is like one of the main reasons to want to play Arakni. I forget if there's a surgical next to those. I thought there was, but there probably isn't. Alright, so we have another Codex. We did pitch 1, so we're looking to put this one in Arsenal, really, to get the lines we want off. So if we just try to keep this whole hand to shred the Eradicates, that'd be kind of cool. I doubt that they really block the Eradicate, so if that's the case, let's make sure we block with black tech on this turn. This does have go again. I don't think they're going to attack with one other thing, though. So I know it looks weird, but we're going to block like this, just because I really think we're going to get used to those on next turn. If they do shoot another arrow, it'd be like reveal, or they don't have to reveal, it'd be tunic shoot.
Great moves. Keep it up. Proud of you.
Cool. So we did get what we wanted off. Thanks for the sub there. I missed who that was, but thank you, thank you. Okay, so now since we're pretty convinced we're not swinging with both necessarily, but we might swing with one in between two attacks, I think we still always lead with Spider's Bite first. Then we go for Eradicate. No, you can keep that in deck. You can absolutely keep that in deck. Give us your arrows, please. Arrows, arrows, arrows. Yeah, because there's a situation here where, you know, if they only block with like one card, we're going to shred it, and then we'll use the other shred to swing Obriticlast into Codex, right? That should be pretty good. Should be pretty good. What's the win-loss? So actually, on stream right now, it's 0-1. But if you take a look at the deck itself, this has been my win rate this past week. So I'm at 70% win rate overall. I know a lot of it's just like Talishar, and Jesus Christ, I can't beat Oldhim. But I have been doing pretty well with this deck. I do need to update the stream because I am 0-1 right now. Okay, so let's go ahead, trigger... Yeah, let's trigger both. Let's do it. Well, we got 4 silver off of that because we hit Blizzard... Oh, where'd it go? Blizzard, Rain, Codex, Blizzard. Okay. Okay, so the unfortunate part here is because of how they just disrespected the Eradicate, we didn't get to use the Shred. So we are going to have to discard a Shred. Unless I guess we can use the Shred if they block Orbitoclast. They're not going to. Okay, didn't think they would. So we will have to discard a Shred here, but we are way ahead on Fatigue, even though they brought 72 cards. They tried to bring 72 cards, and we are still miles ahead of them, because that just is kind of the nature of this matchup. Okay, let me update that win-loss. I can't win on stream, all right? I just suck on winning on stream. And you know what? It's catching me flack from all over the place, guys. I don't know. I don't know. People, they're losing their, I guess, mental image of me. If anyone thought I was a good player, it's getting hurt a lot by these streams. I've seen people in Discord say, doesn't he just lose on stream? Blah, blah, don't play his decks. I mean, hey, I'm just here for fun. I'm just here for fun. I'm here to make my workday, and hopefully your workdays, a little bit better. A little bit more enjoyable. Chilling Ice Vein, the chain link isn't open. It's not. Eradicate went to Graveyard because I played Codex, that's right. So let's go ahead and sync this. That Oldhim bar, Dylan, don't look at it. Don't look at it, okay? The problem against Oldhim is that Sam Dando just had to play Scale Peeler and do so well in freaking Chicago. That's the problem with the matchup now. If he hadn't have done that, then every time I take Scale Peeler Vambrace, it would do something. But the issue now is the Oldhims just run Sledge. They're like, oh, you're Assassin? I'm just taking Sledge. And then you just absolutely sack the fact that you took Scale Peeler and Vambrace. It does nothing. It sucks. Rant over. But yeah, now it's just... I don't know what to do into the Oldhim matchup anymore. Because you still have to take Scale Peeler Vambrace to beat them if they take Rampart. Like, you have to do that. But the Oldhims know that you have to do that, so then they just take Sledge. But then with them taking Sledge, I would way rather have taken, you know, like Nerve Peeler or whatever it's called, like Nerve Peeler, Spider's Bite or whatever. But I can't not take Scale Peeler because otherwise, like, Rampart loses me the game. So I think to play it safe, like to hedge both ways, maybe you take like Nerve Peeler, Nerve Scalpel, Scale Peeler, and Vambrace every time, which is what I've been trying to do. The issue is it's still just like so bad when they just take Sledge and just block 2, swing weapon, block 2, swing weapon. Never care about setting up Arsenal, never care about having Tunic for Crown Arsenal. They only use Tunic for Sledge. And so they just block 2, swing 6, block 2, swing 6, block 2, swing 6. And it is very hard to beat that. It's actually really freaking hard to beat that. So I haven't had success personally. I know you can. That's why I've got I was running like a Plague Hive to try to get to like a smaller deck size faster and just like really recycle that value, but it wasn't consistent enough. I have tried Spreading Plague, and that card seems decent. Like, that can almost do it. The issue is you have to catch them at a turn where they actually block 3 cards. And it's very hard to get them to do that because they'll just block 2 on everything. But if they ever block 3 cards, like, you know, throwing equipment on something and 2 cards from hand, if you can catch them on that kind of turn because you pre-pump with like a Nimblism or they're expecting cut, chase, whatever it is, then Spreading Plague like really kind of closes that gap for you. It can deal 6. And it's crazy. Oh! Hey! Thank you. Hey, thank you. Is that insanely loud? I think that was like super loud. Thank you, Drunk Zerker, though. You can resupply your copium? What, does that mean you want me to go back to freaking Leviathan now? Don't say that. Say it ain't so. Come on. Can't have me doing that. I think we're going to go ahead and let the Sleep Dart hit. They're going to Rain Razors anyway, right? Or actually, I guess they're not right now. If I pass on reaction, they don't Rain Razors. So I think I just have to do that then. Right, there's not a window. Yeah, okay, so they just like don't Rain Razors? That's fine. That's fine. I don't think they meant to do that. If they undo it, then... Oh, wow. Okay, no way. That was their turn? 3 of a kind Sleep Dart pass? Alright, well, we're going to keep on going. In this case, we can just Spider's Bite Surgical. Just like make them block again, and that's 2 cards gone. If we want just value, I go for Spider's Bite into Fiandals. But that doesn't make them block. It heals me 1, throws 6. I think we'd rather make them block because it's a Rain Razor's turn, right? Yeah, let's do that. We don't want to use Tunic. We're saving that for the Oasis Respite. That was loud. Yeah. I need to change that. Better to use on Orbiter class tier since you know 2 cards aren't arrows, so you want them to block with arrows, right? Oh, that's actually fair. Because they passed on that 3 of a kind hand, that's a free read that those aren't arrows. Very good point. I didn't even think about that. That is a very good point. Those definitely weren't arrows. Sure, so it was cards like this. Ah, okay. Very nice. So we banished a red Blizzard Bolt. We could get rid of their blue for the turn, and which also gives me Surgical. Because the yellow isn't going to pay for this double arrow turn anyway, so I think I'm like kind of inclined to do that. Just because they don't have Tunic up, so like they need the pitch coming through. This could be a 3 of a kind though. That could be another one of the non-arrows that they drew up last turn. Now I think I should take an arrow, right? I should take an arrow. Because I don't want their Rain Razors to get potentially 6 value. Like if that's an arrow, right? If that's an arrow, then they're going to lead with... they're going to play Rain Razors, go again, and then shoot this. So I want to make sure that's at least not the case. So let's go ahead and take Blizzard Bolt. Yeah. Let's do that. If people say you aren't good on stream, just ask and follow chat suggestions on all your plays. That always works great. There we go. All right, so I'm going to zip my lips. Let's have a Jesus take the wheel moment. You know, there is a way to set this up. It wouldn't be me. I can't figure it out. But I have seen it on Twitch where like Twitch chat plays Pokemon or something like that. Maybe we could code it where, you know, this is like card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, you know, head 1, head 2, whatever. And you could just type in, you know, head 1, spacebar, whatever. That'd be funny. Chat plays Fab. Let's have chat play a Levi deck and just see how high a loss streak we can get. That'd be fun. That'd be a good stream. That's a 24-hour stream right there. Okay, so with that card being Codex of Frailty, they still get 2 arrows off this turn. I mean, we're kind of fine with that though. Like we knew that was the case if this was an arrow. But now they just get the arrow they specifically want. So we know that's coming. We don't need to keep cards around throwing weapons then, because we're going to be stuck with a Frailty. So Plunder the Poor from hand is probably the only thing we really want to play. And if that's the case, then we don't want Fatigue Shot to hit because we want it to be a 0 for 4. We're going to play out the Oasis, so if we're left with an Arsenal, I'd rather it be Shred. Okay. These blocks seem right then. Oh, and we get to punish this. There we go. Nice. Good stuff. Scabs roll every turn. Oh my god. Actually, that is a great idea, Drunk Zerker. That's where your $5 is going to go. It's going to go towards a 24-hour stream one day where we just play nothing but Levia and roll Scabs every single turn. Every single turn. I love this. I love this. So what did they choose? They chose Fatigue Shot, which is then once again going to come in for 7. We can block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So that seems good on our end. So what do we want in Arsenal? Leave no witnesses for later. Seems pretty good, especially since we won't have Tunic coming up. So let's do that. Oh, that's right. We have to discard, though. Oh, well, with that being the case, we just don't attack next turn. So we could have thought about CNC a bit more. That's fine. We just do this because Shock Charmers is on the stack still. So we don't want it to hit, even though it's not like a real hit effect we care about next turn. Seems fine. Seems fine. We'll let it happen. It is kind of annoying that this is about to be a Tunic turn out of them. I still don't think we should throw the Leave No Witnesses. 4 is just such a bigger deal. 4 is such a bigger deal than 3. Roll Scabs. Swing Claw. Pass turn. Skip Arsenal. Oh, yeah. Those will be the lines that keep me awake for 24 hours. The excitement of those play lines. Whew. I gotta say, there's a new Levia player on the block who is a big fan of playing Levia very differently than how we've really seen it before. Once we're done with this game, I can talk about it a little bit more, but it is very scab-centric, and it's a different thought process than how I normally approach the deck. Okay, so now we've got the potential for a kind of very unassuming 0 for 4 that they don't block into Leave No Witnesses. Pretty devastating. Pretty devastating. However, they did fuse with Arctic Incarceration. We know that Blizzard Bolt, Chilling Ice Vein are coming through. So I don't think we really get that off. Yeah, we won't really get that off. Oh, actually, this is pretty scary. I think I'd want the Frostbite to go through. That way on the Chilling, I can just kind of pitch my heart, and that's fine. And then still keep this blue to pay through the Frostbites, and then I still have Down and Dirty to reset an Arsenal. I think, so I'm going to play with my health as a resource on this turn and just kind of like eat this. We have 2 blues, so even if they stack a ton with Shock Charmers, I think we're kind of fine. It just seems a bit too tricky to try to block around the fact that with a non-block in hand, we can't really just block out 2 arrows if we wanted to. And with the potential of Shock Charmers, right? So let's just take some damage here to have an easier turn. Would it be possible to make a private room where the Classic Battles decks fight each other on stream? Oh, that's interesting. We could have like Twitch versus YouTube. Twitch chat's controlling Dory, YouTube's controlling Reinar. We just have them go. That's pretty funny. All right, so this doesn't have Go Again, so at least one of these cards is getting pitched in for Shock Charmer's value. If it's a blue, then they're going to use Tunic, and that'll trigger twice, which is going to give me 2 more Frostbites and 2 instances of Chilling Ice Vein. If they pitch both cards, I mean, turn starts to look a little worse. We still basically say no blocks other than this because we're trying to use it next turn. Okay, they're not Shock Charmers-ing? Interesting. That's really not what I expected out of my opponent there. So in that case, do I just discard? Is there any difference? I guess like I don't even really like want the Plunder the Poor in my deck. I'm easily winning on Fatigue, but just so I'm not too greedy about it. Let's not do that. Let's still do this. Okay. So their hand must have been maybe 2 reds. That could be like... That's the Arctic, right? So we know that's the Arctic. This is the other... Yeah, so it was 2 reds. So, okay, that's fine. We're going to pay through here. Do I want to sink Lightning Surge? Well, it's not a non-attack, and there are enough non-attacks in the deck that I think I'm going to get greedy for the silver here, because we're about to try to break a bunch of these. So yeah, let's go ahead and sink that. They actually go for the block. Give us 2 Weave Ice. Okay. I mean, that's fine. It basically means we wasted 2 life, but 2 life isn't the biggest deal. It's not like we held a full 3 block around that turn. So that feels fine. Block 5 on Chilling. Pitch Heart on your turn to dagger into LNW. Not necessarily, right? Because they can... Both triggers are going to be active on the Chilling Ice Vein. The Frostbite and the Chilling. So on that last turn, if they do go... Well, I guess we knew one was a red, right? So the most it could be was just 2 more triggers of Shock Charmers. That would have been 3 Frostbites total plus full 3 discard. So we would have had to pitch the blue to that and then hold the blue for our turn. Yeah, so actually, since we knew one was a red... we well... No, because you're saying block the full 5, which means we wouldn't be able to hold the cards the way you're saying. No, I don't think that works out the way you're saying. 6. We have 1 Frostbite. Well, this is a reaction. This is a reaction, so they have to go. And then our turn is just Spider's Bite. Oh no, that's a reaction. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we just do this. That's fine. If I block the Chilling, I'd only have 1 Frostbite. Full block 5 on the Chilling. So that would have been the 2 block, the 3. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, yes. Yeah, okay, actually, in that order, yes, much better. Much better. Alright, what do we care about in Arsenal here? Down and Dirty or Sigil? Sigil's more flexible, but Down and Dirty gets around some of the on-hit effects. Down and Dirty also can be an attack if we really care about it. So let's keep the Down and Dirty in Arsenal. Just throw this. Yeah, okay. In that order, yeah, I had way more control over things. You're absolutely right. Which was the reason I didn't block the Blizzard Bolt. But then there you go. Thought process doesn't continue to the end of the turn. It starts in the right place and then just teeters off. Because there's other things my rambling mind goes towards. No, Teklo, feel free to like nitpick it apart. That's kind of the point. You are going to play better than I am. For sure. Like for just absolutely sure. And in this case, I do get it. I get the mistake. So that's good. Learning moment for everybody. Thought process did get a Frostbite. Yep. Facts. Literally started with the first correct block and then didn't follow through on the rest of the turn. Classic stream mistake. Why can't we all just play, like, let's go back to the OG days where we just all play Bravo. And we do 1 thing per turn. That'd be fun. Okay, they give us 2 cards again. We put Down and Dirty in Arsenal. Drew into another disruptive piece. Leave no witnesses with shred. Pretty sick. With an Arctic Incarceration, though, not having a blue, this is going to be... Well, we can at least play through it. Because that's all their turn is. So we get to throw Leave No Witnesses still. Okay. Well, we're just refusing to give them a full hand. It's really all that's happening here. Another Bolt and Shot red on top. No, thank you. All right, looks like they do want to block this. Now, Leave No Witnesses does say choose one card, or choose up to one card. So it's not the same as a CNC. If they really were trying for at least like a 5-card hand, they could just say no blocks, and then they still get 5 cards here. They're going to give me 2 cards instead, so that means they're keeping at least one Bolt and Shot because you know that's in the hand, plus whatever else is going on here. But really, we're just churning through the deck. Churning through the deck. Easy does it. Okay, well, that doesn't have go again. That came from Arsenal, right? That's what their Arsenal card was. So we're looking at basically all 3 red Bolt and Shots. One is here, one is in hand, one is on top of deck. So if that other card is a Rain Razors, then, like, I guess they go Bolt and Shot, Rain, do even, like, Tunic to load Voltaire to shoot the second Bolt. Just go to 3. I think we'll just give the 4 here. I don't think it's a Rain Razors necessarily, and if it is, it's pretty weak. So let's just do this so that our turn can be the double weapon into Plunder. Seems pretty decent. Set up Fate and Arsenal. I don't know if double weapon's really that important here, but, you know. If all we did was block with Fate, it's not like we unlock that much more for the turn. Because then what does that red down and dirty do in Arsenal? What does the one in hand do? This is at least card efficient. Let's not sink 3 of a kind. They shouldn't block in this kind of position. Cool. Got 2 more silvers. We like it. Keeping Tunic insulates versus Frostbite for the D-React. That is fair. The only thing that would really be there to give us the Frostbite, though, would be like a Winter's Bite. And I haven't seen... Okay, I saw one Winter's Bite. I guess it could have been Winter's Bite or Weavice. Could have been the 2 that really lead the turn that way. Oh, that's not true, because this is an instant. So they could have also revealed like an Arctic Incarceration, play this out, and then do their thing. So that's fair. That is fair. And once again, this doesn't have go again. Interesting. Alright, so it is the rain turn. It is the rain turn. They, in theory, could play that out to get the free reload off. I don't think they necessarily will. It's fine. Keep the Fate for Scene around. Sure. And this is really just a full blockout turn anyway, right? So now we don't even really need to play the Fate. We just block with our full hand, and it just is what it is. Keep the Fate for a rainy day. Yeah, I think that's fine. We buy back our mask and just pass. Stuck between building a Lexi or a Zayli deck. Any suggestions? I think Lexi is kind of the more flexible one, right? So if you are kind of in your early days of exploration with Ranger, not really sure you like the class, just trying to build your first version of a Ranger deck, I think Lexi's probably the better way to go because there's different ways you can build that eventual Lexi deck. You know, you could go for like the Death Dealer, like Ice Control Lexi. You could go for non-fuse Lexi. You could go for like a fuse Voltaire Lexi still. Whereas Azalea just has like the one way to play her really, the go tall. So this has go again. Let's go ahead and sink the down and dirty. It's just not really doing anything. We found a 3-block instead, sure. Our turn, we're looking to, I mean, on this kind of hand, we could even Spiders or Bitterclast CNC would be kind of cool. And I think we will do that because now we can Fate Foreseen the Frostfang. Well, they won't have an arsenal. So maybe that is less relevant now. Instead, I think we just throw Surgical. And just Arsenal CNC. Seems fine. A little bit more flexible. Very likely that they just block with Tunic as well, so that's a little unfortunate. It still takes 1 card from them though, right? Still takes 1 card. And then this gives us CNC and Arsenal into our Tunic 3. You can keep Cold Snap, that's fine. Yeah, so they're going to give us a 3-block plus Tunic, or 2 cards from hand, because now they are getting into the dregs of their deck. They just shuffled with Quiver, so they did kind of mess up some other potential cards that were hanging around. Sure, let's pay with Eradicate, I guess. Just in case we get a really funny Spreading Plague turn off, we could do that. All right, at this point, let's make the decision on Spider's Bite versus Orbitoclast. Where are their channels is really what I'm looking at. There's 2 channels here. They likely have 1 more. Yeah, so likely 1 more channel. They've got a bunch of those Frostfangs still in the deck, I would think. We've only seen 1 red. There's probably like 1 more red. Maybe 1 more yellow. So I think trying to catch those out would be pretty cool, because the other non-attacks that they might have right now would be just 2 blocks base anyway. Yeah, so we're still going to go Spider's Bite. Okay, and they block it. This is really going to hurt. What have I been playing in Blitz for skirmish? I really can't make it to any skirmishes this season. I was out of town all last week. I was in Tijuana. And then this next week, or this next weekend, I'm going to be streaming the Battle Hardened. And then the weekend after that is my last weekend for Pro Tour prep. And I've been doing basically 0 prep for the Pro Tour. So hopefully I will be hanging out with friends and actually grinding games so that I'm not just completely green for the Pro Tour, because I'm apparently punting that tournament. Apparently. I wasn't aware, but apparently I am, because I've put no work into it. So yeah, I don't really think I'm playing in any skirmishes. It would take too much time away from the very limited time that I have to do any prep right now. Here we go. Leave no witnesses. Well, sure, we'll sink that as well. Try to take 1 more arrow. There's got to be something left. Sure, might as well. Why not? 2 damage. Take it. If I was going to play in any skirmishes, I'd probably just play Icelander. I really like Levia for Blitz. I think she's fine. She's actually quite strong. If like you know the metagame specifically, you can kind of really tweak the build to perform well across the board. She obviously eats Prism in Blitz for one. Like that is just a very free matchup. But a lot of people don't play Prism for skirmish. They play Prism in like a more established competitive Blitz environment. Like Worlds had a lot of Prism, right? Because the meta was very defined. In just random skirmish stuff, Levi kind of struggles because, number one, like there's a ton of wizards, and Stormstriders is a hell of a card, and Levi is very susceptible to just saying, okay, here's Blood Rush. I only have 2 resources, nothing in hand. And then you just die. That's definitely one way to do it. You also don't really beat Dash or Chain. They're a little bit too fast. So that, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't just, like, if I was going to one skirmish and really wanted to win, I wouldn't just take Levi. I'd have to scout out and see, oh, like, you know, what does this area play? What kind of decks are they on? And then kind of build the Levi to be a little bit more specialized. Would be what I do. Then again, back when I lived in Michigan, you know, that was a lot easier to say because there were so many events I went to. Nowadays, I might just have to change the mindset. GG. I might just have to change the mindset and stop worrying about building like the right Levi deck and just take one. Just take one, because I don't really get to go to that many events anymore. I just don't. There aren't enough in the area. 1-1. Alright, let's see. We did just beat that Lexi. I don't think they're having fun with it. Let's play against a Viserai. This will be interesting. You don't see a lot of Viserais anymore. Let's go first. We're going to take... It was actually kind of a weird choice, right? We definitely want a Null Rune piece, but they do run defense reactions. So Nerve Scalpel Flick Knives is still really cool. Good luck. So maybe we put our Null Rune piece in our boot slot. That could be interesting. Because I think it's probably ridiculous to take Nerve Scalpel, Arcane Lantern. You can't really throw that combo, right? Yeah, so maybe we just do this. Null Rune Boots. Huh. Oh, that's an interesting one. You think you might want AB2? Just for Rosetta's sake? Nah. We have enough life gain, like, around Rosetta, right? Like, we can just block with Fighting Spirit, Oasis on a Rosetta as well. I don't think AB2 is worth it. It's too much of a tax on our equipment. And then Spider's Bite should be a good second, I think. This seems fine. Don't even know if we really need the 1 Remembrance in this matchup. Alright, we'll take it though. Let's do it. Just found out that Viserai is on the Gore Belching art? Really? I did not know that. That is interesting. I'll have to go back and look at that. Okay, well they took Skullcap. Interesting that they've got that in the list. They're also at 64 cards, so we are glad we took the 1 Remembrance. Lets them keep creepers around for longer, and if you're trying to run them out of damage, it's better to only let the creepers get used once. I mean, I'm running them out of damage by running them out of deck. So I guess it's really, you know, does the... Well, they're not even running creepers for 1. First of all, that's kind of funny. So I wonder, like, is the explosiveness that creepers really allows in making them, like, want to commit for a larger hand, and then in trade taking potentially whatever the on-hit, like, mill effect is of the turn? Is that a decent trade-off? That's interesting. So I would think, like, when you give them greedy equipment like that, Shrill of Skull Form, yeah, I don't want that on your first hand. If you give them, like, the greedy plays, then they're more likely to take your on-hits. But I totally see what you're saying. If you take AB2, then it just doesn't even give them the option. Alright, they actually let this through. This is really huge. If you can trade... I mean, I traded 1 card for a card in hand of damage and a card from deck. I'll take that every time. That's not Vis on the Gore art. It's likely a new Shadow Necro hero. Hold up a second. We gotta look at whatever this is. Gore Belching. How do I not have my own spoiler card memorized? Can I make this bigger? Oh, it's this guy in the background. Oh, that is interesting. I totally get some Necromancer vibes there. I can see it, like he's kind of summoning something. It does look like a rune chant. That could be it, but I don't see why someone poised in like the back of an army like that would be making like a defensive shield. That could be more of like a summoning ritual, right? Which Viserai has like some things like that. Like some artwork that's more around like the summoning side. Like, you know, Mordred-Tide. I mean, what's he doing there? He's kind of like letting all this ethereal like smoke leak out of him. I don't know, it could be Viserai. Could be. Oh, what's up, Hamish? I loved your series, by the way. I've been watching all of them. I think I'm caught up. When you invited all those people onto your channel to talk about different heroes, that's genius. I need to do that. The problem is I don't even know what my opponent's doing right now. Problem is I really don't have a great balance. Did they miss like everything? Is that what happened? Amplify, Revel, Mavrian. So they only added one. Okay, I see what happened. They played out a Mavrian. They got this to hand, so their turn is going to be Amplify into Rosetta. So, that's 4 rune chants. This swings in. I can take some of the rune chants and then pitch in Heart to actually get the heal off. So, I guess we don't need to worry about pitching in until I'm low enough for Heart. So I'll still get guaranteed value on all these, right? I take another 2, which leaves 2 rune chants, which then I pitch in a blue for. That eats those 2 plus 1 made off the back of Amplify. This then can cover the last one, Rosetta. Oh, but then it does leak 1. I think it's better to just pitch it then, right? Because I'm 1 defense, like 1 rune chant inefficient, right? Which is the same as the Heart, so because this is going to create 2, and then the Rosetta only lets me block 1. Yeah, okay. Inefficient block here. But we can't actually play out the Eradicate, and not like we're going to try to sink into something playable. We'll just take the off turn. You say you can get Heart value and block Arcane value? I can't, though. There's only 3 more instances of Arcane on this turn. 2 rune chants, 1 Rosetta. If I take the 1 here, then all I can block is 1 more rune chant and the Rosetta. Like, see? No floating at the end of this. Unless I'm wrong about the order there. Definitely could be. I thought about it enough. But it's not like I'm going to let the physical damage through on the Amplify. It had a Mavrian on it. Forget that. Forget that. Okay, this is fine. We've got Tunic 3 coming up for a Command and Conquer type of turn. Spider's Bite CNC off of the blue here, which could be cool. If we need to scale the hand differently, then we've got just Plunder as a 1-card hand, which feels fine. This is a blue Mavrian. Interesting. I think we're safe to give this up. We might have to pitch into Arcane, depending on what comes next. Like, it could be a Revel. Yep, it was a Revel. Revel. Okay, well now CNC doesn't really do anything. They aren't going to have an arsenal. So I guess we just block out again. Fun. So if that's the case, then we should have blocked with CNC before the Plunder the Poor. And that would have still given us a 1-card hand. We would have taken 2 damage basically to throw 0 for 4. So that definitely hurt. So maybe reading the hand a bit better. If it was Revel, then they never were keeping an arsenal. But it could have just been, okay, Mavrian swarming, you know, Rosetta arsenal. It could have been a slower turn. So I'm not quite sure if that was really wrong or just the way things ended up. Now I definitely do miss having a 0 for 4, because this hand just naturally doesn't let me do anything. So now it might be like a forced off turn into 2 turns where all we did was block out. Just blocking out is a losing game against Viserai. We do need to mill through some of their really high value reds, right? Like if we can hit Swarmings, Revels, Mordreds, that stuff feels really good. But we need to actually be throwing attacks to make that happen. Come jump on the channel. Thank you. You don't need me to talk about Levia. Not for a long time. Not for a long while. We got all the way till July, right? Her time really is coming. I'm getting so excited. When they leaked, or not leaked, when they released all of the artwork for Dusk Till Dawn as part of like the Battle Hardened calling announcement stuff, oh god, it looked so good. There wasn't a card that specifically looked like Levia themed, unless they're kind of going a different art direction. There definitely were a lot of cool kind of Shadow Runeblade looking things. The one card that maybe hinted at Levia support was the dragon, because otherwise, like, where does the dragon fall in terms of, you know, it being illusionist, warrior, Runeblade? Well, Levia does kind of control an army of minion things. So maybe there's a chance the dragon is part of Blasphemfet's horde. Maybe. Probably not. It didn't quite look Levia enough, but they didn't have the obvious Levia art, so I was trying to think, which could it be? Which could it be? So we're going to try to sync away the Nimblism, I guess. What is that even really doing? It's basically forcing us to hope and pray that it's a yellow, or if it's a blue, amazing. We are going to do it, though. Where are these cards? Well, they're not necessarily cards, even. It's just artwork for Dusk Till Dawn that was released on the Flesh and Blood website. I don't know if it's still there, but it was part of the like Calling and Battle Hardened promos that they put out. Nice. We did it. I mean, we can surgical and try to shred it, which could be pretty high value because we also want to free up our arsenal. We want to be able to throw things like Codex in there, maybe some defense reactions, cards that don't just quite fit the hand. So I think we'll do that. The yellow is pretty likely to hit because, you know, if they block 6, we still shred through it. Whereas if all we do is throw 6 and heal 1, we don't get this out. No. So we can let that stay on top, get some silver back. You couldn't find the art again anywhere? Did they take it down? Man, if they did, that sucks. That artwork was amazing. Alright, they sigil. Check this out. Okay, so now we can Tunic. And we can AB that sucker. Gotcha. Ha ha ha. Who needs Shred when Tunic does the same, basically? Okay, so if we take their blue, that gets us the double silver we need to start recurring Mask specifically. I think we take the blue anyway, because what can they do on this hand? They can't really do anything. They don't have Tunic, so they can't even, like... I mean, hard paying for Shrill doesn't do anything. I think we just always take the blue, yeah. Anyone have a link to it? Well, if someone has a link, please drop it in the chat. I don't know if links are allowed. If they're not, just let me know. Okay, so this is just 4, is it? Our hand is Slay, Shred, Concealed, Plunder. Well, that is not that juicy, is it? And we don't have the black tech, so we can't even like push through a baby hit effect here with Slay. So that feels pretty bad. So I guess, even though it looks pretty dumb, there's no reason to not pay. Because this is just our turn. I think that's fine. Like, I'd rather protect my own life by one than throw one, I think. Lead the charge. Not the most relevant card. I feel like if I sink it, Plunder the Poor, it really hits most things in the deck. But giving him a free red lead the charge in pitch stack feels pretty bad, so let's not do that. Look at each event for different art. Yeah, that's how I accessed it. I mean, we can take a look right here. Bab TCG. Let's see. It was under maybe an article here. More articles. It was when they announced... Whoa! What are all these articles? It was when they announced this. Here we go. Cool, my opponent's still thinking. So normally when you clicked on these, you saw some teaser art. Which may be gone, actually. Oh my goodness. I think... Okay, well, there's something. Isn't that new? That must be new. But I'm not seeing the art that was here before. It used to be just kind of like blocks of art that were definitely from Dusk Till Dawn. Okay, yeah, so they hit it. They took it down. Someone on Twitter probably has it. Sorry, opponent. Are you doing Battle in Cincinnati? I do every single SCGCon. If someone wants to help me make the others possible, then, you know, that is up to the other organizers. But SCGCon is the organizer that I am partnered with to at least do, like, consistent coverage of. They have a Magic streamer. We're not, like, on contract or anything. They just give us the space. And they help us with some judge staff, which is a new feature. Shout out to SCG. They didn't used to do that. But now they actually do help out with like judge coordination at the event. Thank goodness. So Anurag does the Magic side of things. I do the Flesh and Blood side of things. And they provide like a streaming space for that. Well, it's kind of dumb, but if we keep this kind of hand, we can pay Nerve, Spider, CNC. I don't even really want to do that, though. Like, I kind of just want to start cycling this already. I should have pitched into the Rune Chant. That was actually mistake number one. Mistake number one. Okay. It's not worth keeping the CNC type of hand here. Because, I mean, once again, they have to actually pitch into the Rosetta, so it's not going to get any value. So even so, it should have been start to pitch that blue there, block with CNC. Get full value, because now this is only going to block Rosetta, so I wasted one life. Wasted one life. What was the loss? A Katsu with some insane bonds turns. Insane. Yeah, so we wasted 1 HP. Not the end of the world, not the end of the world, but something we should have expected, right? If we have the blues to pay for it, just pitch into Arcane Barrier. The Swarming had to go again, so the Rosetta was definitely part of the turn. That's fine. Star City is doing Cincy. Okay, cool. Then I will be there. Yeah, Star City Games actually has quite a few things coming up on the docket here. So obviously I'm at Richmond this weekend. We've got Baltimore again in June, Cincy in July, Columbus in September, Dallas in October. I don't know if I'm going to that one. That's far AF away. Hey, that's pretty cool. Like basically an event per month is coming up pretty soon. Love it. A lot of travel. There's also potential that, hey, at any moment, maybe LSS wants me to do a calling again. See, that's what we want to start hitting. That's what we want to start hitting to make sure we have enough ways to survive this damage. Yes, yes. Give me that Mordred. Give me more silver. Okay, well, we'll shred that. No biggie. We don't have the easy access to Arcane Barrier, but this is still pretty big. We've been trying to get that shredded arsenal just to leave us open to those Codex of Frailty hands, which we haven't seen yet, so, you know, probably starting to come up. We're about a third of the way through first cycle of the deck. There's the first Leave No Witnesses for us to put in Arsenal. We appreciate this draw order deck, thank you. We don't have the blue to go for the CNC Spider's Bite turn. So we'll likely either block with this or keep it in Arsenal. Probably just block with it. I mean, it's our last CNC, but we haven't seen the Leave No Witnesses yet, so that's enough Arsenal pressure just coming through that playset of cards. Just don't be another Revel turn, please. I can't really block Arcane. Not on this hand. So they're going to get 2 triggers there. Probably Swarming and maybe Arknight, because I don't think they need the pitch with Shrill. They just play Swarming, Swing Rosetta, Arsenal, Arknight. Yep, we just eat the Arcane. Alright. Oh, wait, they only get 1 trigger. When it showed up on the left here, Sonata Arcanix was listed, but that's because they played Sonata. Sonata wasn't revealed. Okay. Yeah, so they only get to add 1, and it was the Swarming. So we appreciate that. Every time they've played the Sonatas with pitch in, hasn't hit 2. What was I saying before? Oh yeah, so, you know, there is also the opportunity that maybe LSS wants me to do another calling. As of now, the only callings that are on the table would be the ones that are like attached to stuff like the Pro Tour, Nationals, that kind of thing, at least for the US. So that's, I don't think those are possible to cover, right? Because like it kind of conflict with the main event stream. So maybe if a different calling gets announced in the US, I don't know. I don't know what they'll want to do with it. But hey, I'd be open to do it again. I've learned a lot since last time. A lot since last time. Nope. We're really just looking for more contract cards right now. Cell phone coverage, Ethan. We believe. Yeah, what if I just start, just like, devolving to cell phone all over again? We definitely started there. Those were the old days. I've had some moments where it's just like, man, I really spent all this money on, like, cameras. I don't even take pictures. Like, if I had the right hobbies to merge, like, what streaming has made me put money into, then I'd be living like a much more stress-free life. It is very stressful to just be like, man, cameras are expensive. And I don't really use them more than once a month. Yeah, let's sync that. When you O3 drop, you'll come and help. Okay, sweet. Del Taco. We've met in person, I believe. I can't visualize you. Hoping there's one in Vegas. Did they drop CFB? They did drop CFB. So if it's West Coast, I don't know who they'd be partnering with. But East Coast is always going to be SCGCon. So at least when SCGCon's involved, I hopefully am part of that conversation. Have you found a good inexpensive stream camera? Webcams seem really bad at autofocusing, but real cameras are so much money. Andy, I'm way past like an inexpensive stream camera. That was the old days. Oh wow, they're overblocking even with no arsenal. Okay. Honestly, there's no reason to save the tunic resource for Oasis because I'm likely pitching in anyway. Those kind of turns, so let's just do it here. Yeah, there's no reason to stick with... Oh wait, oops. Did I not pay? Yeah, there we go. There's no reason to just go inexpensive when you're, you know, guaranteed to need to be using these things. And with the amount of opportunities I've got coming my way, you know, with every event, there's things I want to do better. So it was worth just putting in more money into the kind of like hardware gear because as I learned very early on, and kind of was a blessing in disguise when I lost everything coming back from Lille, if you cheap out, there are things you really start to want to replace. But you spend enough money kind of like seeding the original equipment that it starts to feel really bad to want to replace like kind of the middle tier stuff or even the lower tier stuff for the next middle tier or the higher gear. You're just wasting money. Oh my god, the triple codex hand. Well, that is just unplayable. Just unplayable. Oh, wait, sorry. Is that all their turn is? I think that's all their turn is. So we'll just do this. Yeah, this is super awkward. And I guess I just block with Codex and Fate. Block with Codex Fate, and that way I can nerve, still have one floating if it's their last sigil. Oh, they played all 3 sigils. Okay, so that's not relevant. Still feels like insanely awkward because I don't even get the mask block off. I guess that means I can get the Eradicate instead of Leave No Witnesses. I'll have the one floating for it. That's more relevant, I guess. They don't have an arsenal, so... Put that to the bottom again. All right. Spiders, baby. Yeah, as of now, I have a Sony a6100 as the overhead cam and then two Sony ZVs as the hand cams. And the hand cams were something that I did make a big mistake on. Because I had bought the newer Razer Kiyo Pro Ultras. They were a brand new 4K webcam that came out over Christmas. And I liked my Razer Kiyo and thought, well, if they just made these things better, like why not get another one that is now 4K? And that should be like good enough quality for wanting to zoom in on hand cameras. Like that should kind of do everything I want it to. The issue is running a webcam at like long distance just has its own problems because they're drawing power from that same USB cable that you're running to the computer. So they would overheat like crazy. There's just a lot for that long cable to do. Just a lot. So had to fix that. Those things were great, not for that distance, because at SCGCons I do have to be like 75 feet away. Yeah, we don't really need more silver, honestly, so let's just get rid of the reds. So instead I upgraded to the Sony ZVs, and those things are just a monster. When you have like an actual digital camera, you know, they're drawing power from their own like dummy batteries that you've got plugged in, so the HDMI cables you run can just focus on data transfer, no power needed. And with HDMI cables, you can get way higher quality signal than through USB anyway, so I've got like these fiber optic HDMI cables running it now. Also, there's like lights attached to the cameras themselves to just kind of give the full like 360 lighting instead of needing individual tripods, which is cool. So yeah, it was just an upgrade. Happy to do it. But the Razer Kiyos were a mistake because I couldn't return them. So now I just have 2 Razer Kiyos. Kiyo Pro Ultras. Is that what they're called? Razer Kiyo Pro Ultras. The stupid expensive one that came out recently. I mean, I'm using one right now. That's what this camera is. And then I have another one that I'll use for when I actually like go on the road. That'll be the caster camera. Because it is, I mean, it is good quality. They now have the frailty. double Rune Blood. Well, this is breaking, so there's a lot of tokens over there. And they're breaking Vexing Quillhand. That can't be right. I refuse to believe that is correct. What's the point of that? Like, this gets go again, but they don't have Tunic to then swing Rosetta, and it was -1 from Frailty. I don't know. Nimblism. I only run 2 Nimblisms, because it being a 2-block is a little rough, and your deck isn't, like, only contracts, right? Once again, this guy really doesn't play with that arsenal. But the ability to just, like, be sitting on a Codex, which is something you want to do anyway, and then rip Nimblism and just be like, sweet! Playing Nimblism, playing Leave No Witnesses, coming in for 7, getting a Ponder off of it, you're getting a Frailty, I'm putting pressure on Arsenal, like, that is just crazy. It is just so good. Because Codex of Frailty has that problem where you don't get to have very efficient lines if you're trying to react on top of a Codex, right? Because you have to discard if you're keeping cards in hand. Oof. Very strange turn here. This is why I don't think I needed the Remembrance, honestly. Would have just eradicated here? You mean like pitch Nimblism for eradicate? I don't think that's super relevant. So it's just the one Runeshank coming through, so I guess if I pitch that there... Oh, is there more Arcane? I only saw 1 on the stack. This comes in for 6, so I'm gonna block it this way. And then I guess we'll keep the Oasis in Arsenal for next turn. Shrill. Arsenal the Eradicate instead of Daggering? That's not the strongest Arsenal target. Like, I don't think you really try to have anything just sitting in Arsenal because it can get relatively stuck. So, perfect example here, like, I needed my Arsenal open or this double Oasis hand just does nothing. That can kind of be the case with a lot of, like, Codex of Frailty draws. I guess in this game in particular, I knew that I wouldn't draw Codex of Frailty because I drew 3 in the same hand. So if I'd really thought about that, then yeah, Eradicate and Arsenal is probably fine. But for the way that I was normally playing the deck, I wouldn't try to hold an Eradicate and Arsenal there necessarily. Like, the best Arsenal targets are Oasis, right? Are Codex of Frailty, are Nimblism, are, like, a Shred here and there. But just kind of like your big chain-ending attacks can get a little stuck. And I'm saying that, but I only look maybe even slightly correct because I drew double Oasis. If I didn't draw that, then it'd be a lot harder to defend that kind of decision, to be fair. What is he doing? That's fine. All 3 CNCs are gone. We've got 1 more natural draw of Leave No Witnesses, 1 more Codex of Frailty. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 2 more 0 for 4s. 2 more Surgicals. 2 more Eradicates. A lot of threats still to mill cards, basically. We're also down 2 Revels, and we haven't lost the game. That feels pretty good. What we haven't seen is a potential Mordred Revel turn happen. They have also played 1 Mordred, and we banished a Mordred. So that is still possible. Not likely, but it is possible. Yeah, let's go ahead and Oasis that. Mainly because we already have kind of a decent block on the Rosetta. We'll take the Arcane in this kind of spot, just because Findles would cover it anyway. Otherwise, Oasis on Rosetta can feel pretty good. Now they come in with Shrill. So, not going to be a Rosetta turn. Not like they can Suck Cliffs and then Tunic either. Well, there's no real on-hit effect, so I think I'm fine to just do this. Gain one, lose one. Totally fine. But there's no way we block with our contract cards at this point. We don't really need more silver, so let's get rid of the red. We are getting a Tunic counter to just throw it. Oasis is relevant, but Oasis versus Runeblade works always because we use the extra resources anyway. Yeah, point not being that we need resource. We didn't need the Oasis because Tunic was coming up to 3. It was just that hand of double Oasis, especially with like the yellows behind it. We couldn't really play at the second Oasis if we wanted to, so it going in Arsenal was just all it could really do in that hand. But yeah, in this matchup, I think you already mentioned it earlier on as well. Like, you don't need the Oasis to always work alongside Tunic. You don't. Because you're always pitching into AB somewhere. Alright, opponent. What you gonna give me? Let's do a Mauvrian count. We know there's a red on the deck. Or, no, Amplify on the deck. Never mind. 1, 2, 3. Well, we can count this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so they have basically 3 more. 3 more easy sources of go again. They've got all Swarmings in the bin as well. They just played a Rattlebones. And there's one they just played, plus the one here. I don't think they run 3 necessarily. So they are running low on go again, just across the board. They are. Good to see you streaming again. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, I was out of town last week. I tried. I did try to give streaming a go, but the internet where I was staying in Tijuana it wasn't having it. It was very slow. So we weren't able to go live last week. I did try, much to the chagrin of Sandra. She was not super happy about it. We were on vacation. Why would I stream, she says. Well, streaming is what I do for fun as well. Am I not allowed to do both? So instead of stream last week, whenever I had free time, I was just jamming this Arakni deck, which I think we're going to hit 50 games. No, we're going to hit 49 games and then end it. But, I mean, you can't be mad at that, right? Like, the deck's not great. It's been fun to play. But across 50 games, 71% win rate on just like a pretty unrefined random Arakni list that I built. I'll take that. I'll take that. I truly think Arakni's the worst way to play this style. Like, you should just play Azuri, right? You should just play Azuri. For one, the fact that when you present Azuri, your opponent doesn't necessarily assume you're going Fatigue, right? So they're going to sideboard differently, for one. Number 2, instead of running something like Findle's Fighting Spirit, you get to run Shakedown. And instead of running like a filler blue, like, I don't know, Plunder the Poor or something in blue, like this card, you would get to run Isolate in blue. And, excuse me, those few changes in and of itself are just miles ahead of getting Arakni's hero power. Because you're not, I mean, you use it a little bit, but it's not going to change the fact that, like, if a Fatigue style approach is working in the matchup, like, what's getting you there is just the on-hit banish, not so much like the top or bottom that Arakni's giving you. And you don't use Regicide anyway. That card is just asking to basically play Levia. So, yeah, I mean, you should just... Oh, you can redo. Does my chat not work? You can redo. No, I'll let him redo it. Start of this turn. Let him do it. That's fine. My chat's not working. I can't say anything. Redo. It's okay. The messages don't go anywhere. I can't type. He's asking me, am I sure? If you are tuning in, Cambo Slambo, yes, I'm sure. Please redo it. Yes. Chat restricted. Apparently. I can't type to this guy. I feel awful. He's going to be sitting there waiting for me to say yes or no. If I change to Legacy, can I say yes? Go for it. It doesn't show up? I am hella chat restricted, I guess. I like never type anyway, and here I am. Test. Nope, even refreshing didn't do it. Changing to Legacy didn't do it. Refreshing didn't do it. You've had this happen once or twice. Nothing you can do, but it'll reset next game. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Alright, I think what my opponent meant to do is Sutcliffe's into the Read the Runes here. So we wouldn't really get full pitch value there, but we wouldn't know that that's the play. Like maybe they Sutcliffe's into Rosetta off Tunic. They could also do that. I think we're fine to just Tunic Eradicate. Seems okay. And if that's our play, then I'll keep the Sink in Arsenal. There's no real on hit here. Have we seen any sigils yet? We haven't. Oh, wow. Okay, we're about to draw a hand of like triple sigil. I don't know what the clumping is this game, but we drew a hand of triple Codex. We drew a hand of double Oasis. And we're quite literally going to draw a hand of triple sigil, like probably next turn. That is very odd. That is very odd. Yeah, so actually I shouldn't have... If I was expecting him to Sutcliffe's, then the pitch here was fine, but if I don't think that he's going to do that, then I should have just blocked here, and I would have saved 1 more HP. I actually thought he was going to Sutcliffe's, because this turn seems pretty okay for it. But either way, I should have just blocked here, rather than trying to predict what's happening, because there's no damage difference. There's no damage difference. Am I winning? Yeah, over 50 games. Over 50 games, we're sitting here. 71%. We're about to win this game. On stream, though, we'll just be 2-1. We'll just be 2-1. Nothing crazy. Better than 03. Better than 03. Good to see you back at it. What's up, Nathan? I was just singing your praises, actually. I forget for what reason, but there's many reasons to sing them. Honestly, I'm fine if this hits and gets rid of that Vexing. That card is annoying. Is this list somewhere? I can link it to you. My stream is... Oh, his stream is based. Oh, Nathan's? Yes. That is definitely a word I'd use to describe his stream. It's pretty sick. You just need to play Levia one time, and then it'd really be the best stream in the business. Why do you run Arakni over Viserai? I just talked about this, Chris. Literally no reason. Viserai is blanketly like the better hero to pick for every situation. For one, there's multiple builds of Viserai, so when you reveal Viserai, your opponent probably doesn't sideboard as if you're trying to fatigue them, because they have to respect the fact that you could be aggro, right? Also, you get access to Shakedown, which is a very good card. You get access to Blue Isolate in like the same kind of shell, which is a very good card. So Viserai is just better. But the reason I was playing Arakni was more so because, I don't know, I've never really played Arakni. he's been out for longer, and I just wanted to kind of get a feel for the hero. Since I was playing Azuri more so in like sealed environments and draft, I kind of got a sense of like what her hero power is doing for the game. But as far as Arakni goes, like I've just really never played him. So it was more so, how does it feel to use this ability? What decision points does it give me? Yada yada. And on Talishar, it's really not a big deal to kind of just have that pop up, click top, bottom, whatever. In person, I really don't think I'd play Arakni. In person, I would rather play Azuri just so you don't have to deal with, hey, can you show me your top card? Yeah, bottom that. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. That's just like asking for adding game time to the clock when you are a deck that's like trying to run your opponent out. But what's really interesting is like in a matchup like this, right? We're on turn 13. You can see that, right? Yeah, turn 13. First cycle is just 15 hands. You draw 60 cards in 15 hands. So even though you might think, oh my god, like this kind of deck just goes to time every game, yada yada, I think like for most of your games, that's not going to be what happens. What's an Arsenal sync? This has go again. Yeah, so we can get rid of this. Oh, actually, oops, let's undo. This is a red Mauvrian, so actually we do want to block that. I'm going to give up the Leave No Witnesses just to make sure the block doesn't waste damage. We're going to win through just outlasting the last two hands anyway. We have the double sigil draw, plus we have one more sigil as well. As a Katsu one trick, you're getting excited over Nathan's bruise. We did lose to a Katsu, Nathan, and they played Time Snap, and I was terrified because of your stream. I learned what Time Snap does against an opponent who's trying to fatigue you. I was terrified. Now, that's not what won them the game. Instead, they just went for, what was it, like a triple Bonds turn, something like that? It's pretty terrifying in and of its own right. Alright, opponent. Alright, so they didn't actually spend every card in that hand, which is fine. I mean, an inefficient turn out of them, right? Likely that they're drawing hands that are now stuck with a lot of blues anyway. I think the only red we maybe bottomed was a red Lead the Charge, or maybe this was the Lead the Charge and we didn't bottom it. I don't remember. So very unlikely that they can actually use this full hand anyway. So we're going to respect the last turn, not let the Mauvrian go through, not going to waste HP blocking strangely, and just, you know, hope that this turn isn't huge for them. Although, to be fair, if we really wanted to check their potential cards, we could math it out. They're out of Revels. They did have the one more Mordred. And I believe they have one more Mauvrian Sky. So maybe they do use this whole hand. That could happen. What is that pop-up? It just showed me a massive blue Mauvrian. Where'd that come from? Where was there a blue Mauvrian? Was it because I was looking at Banish? I don't know. They didn't play one yet. They might. Reinforce the Line has been amazing in your Katsu testing. Yeah, Reinforce the Line, very, very strong card. I was testing it in Arakni mostly to try to like help versus Rangers, or versus Azalea, but I think that matchup's good enough for you that I'd rather the slots go to trying to beat Dromai, which is also still an absolute lost cause, but by God, I'm trying it still. Down and Dirty did help a lot. It helped a ton. What you need to be able to do, though, is beat when they try to drop Passing Mirage and Miragai like same turn. That's kind of like their big deal play. But you can now get around like a late game double Chromai turn if you just like sit on a Down and Dirty and then, you know, remember it's back in your poppers and just like have a triple popper turn. You can do it. You actually can do it. You can beat that line. You can naturally, with like 9, I think I was playing 9 to 10 poppers, just kind of have a decent early game all through the first cycle, throw your daggers, try to kill Ashwings, whatever. And then I'm also running E-Strikes right now to try to beat the Miragai passing turn, where they try to just say, hey, you can't clear both of these. But you can if you E-Strike Miragai, dagger the Passing Mirage. It's a lot. You have to put a lot of work into trying to beat that matchup. but it is possible. It is possible. No, Down and Dirty, I also run into some of the Rangers and some matchups where like I just want a little bit extra cards instead of having a Remembrance specifically. I've been running one Remembrance in pretty much every matchup, and I don't really need it. Like, I think Codex of Frailty just kind of does what a single Remembrance was doing in the old days. Of just, like, letting you get back the Leave No Witnesses, the power cards like that. But the Codex of Frailty kind of covered that, so the Remembrance maybe also doesn't need to be a 3 of. Because I was running one main, and then I would run 2 to try to shuffle back Popper, or run the extra 2 in as well. Try to shuffle back Popper, shuffle in Warhorn against Dash type of deal. But I don't think you need 3. You probably only need 2. Down and Dirty is an anti-Codex of Frailty text, kind of hot. Oh yeah, definitely. I think I mentioned that in the last game. But yeah, that's also been pretty huge. A lot of the time, it's still worth it because you don't really care about your hand turn by turn. You can just say, okay, I'll get Leave No Witnesses, just full block your turn anyway. But if you know like a special on hit, something really destructive's coming up, then if you put the Down and Dirty there, you know, sweet. But most of the time, just putting back Leave No Witnesses in this type of deck and then just waiting a turn. Don't throw it with Frailty, obviously. Pretty good. So I don't think they're actually going to block the Slay the Scholars because they're not in lethal. So let's just use the Shred on Spider's Bite. We definitely want to clear this whole hand, right? We don't want to be stuck with any of these cards. Like even holding a yellow wouldn't feel great because they have all these rune chants. So I want to find my blues. We have a pretty good chance of drawing into those at this point. Yeah, sure. We can pump this by 3 as well. We can play the Sigil, so we'll draw a fresh 4. We'll have Tunic up. Or no, we won't have Tunic up, but we'll have Sigil. We'll be at 17 into his 8 rune chance and 5 card hand. That feels pretty safe. Should feel safe. And then this will have to be the last game. I try to only stream till 4. It is 4:30, so I will have to wrap it up. The deck definitely takes like a little bit longer to play than other decks. Honestly, mostly a stream issue. When I was playing this deck offline, rapid fire, baby. Okay, so that's double Dread Triptych. So let's find out what that last card is. It was a Deadly Duet. Okay, so their last 2 cards in deck are Dread Triptych. So we should just win. Like, there's no world where we don't. We have 4 health in Arsenal here. Got an extra 2 block here. I doubt we really need to throw Tunic, but, you know, that's there. That's the last Mauvrion that we knew they had, but now they're out of the Mordred Tide turn, so it's really just going to be... That's the Vexing we banished. They probably still have another 1 in the deck. But if that's all their turn is, like Mauvrion into Vexing through all the rune chants, we have 3 blues to live through it. Should be fine. Should be fine. I am glad Down and Dirty isn't expensive because Flukenbox put out a video. I forget what the title of it was. Maybe it was just like trying to guess what Outsiders market was going to look like, something along those lines. But he mentioned that he thought Down and Dirty was going to be the next CNC in terms of just being like a, you know, $80 card. And I'm so glad he was wrong because it's not that good. It is good. Not every deck needs to run it, though, to try to help in the matchups that it can. But it just existing is, like, pretty amazing. I love that card. I'm very happy with that card. But it is dirt cheap. It's like $2. And that's where it should be. That's definitely way more reasonable. Codex being insane? Absolutely get it. I don't know about Premeditate. That feels like a little inflated. But something's got to carry value, right? Something. Down and Dirty is dirt cheap. Prices are down, and it's cheap. It didn't quite roll off the tongue, did it? Sure, that has go again. They've got Tunic up. So let's actually sync this, just in the off chance it's like a bindles or something that we want to block with. At most, it's just 2 damage coming in. If it's a blue, then we just nerve Scalpel Spider's Bite off Tunic. If it's a 0 for 4, even better. How did no rune chance hit you? Pitched 9 Arcane Barrier. Oh god, I can't type to this guy! I can't type to this guy, this poor dude! No! Oh, it's a heart. Alright, well, now I'm forced to use it on these things. I can't type this... Oh, this leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. He's gonna look at this guy. Oh, wait. Wait, I'm not signed in. Oh, that's what it is. I'm not signed in. Okay, so that's why I can't type. I guess I'm not, like, on a real account. I swear I signed in, though. I typed in Mansant. Yeah, that must be what it is. I didn't know that's how it worked, actually. Oh, you pitched, never mind. Okay, well... Thank you for figuring it out, because I can't tell you, apparently. Actually, there's no reason to block with that. The game doesn't matter anymore. We do just win. We are 22 cards to their 4. Yeah, so it might seem like this game went really long, but you gotta remember... We only just now drew what is normally first cycle. So especially with no chat, like interaction happening live, I don't think this would have taken that long. Maybe, you know, like playing at a decent pace, like 30-ish minutes, maybe. But when I played Club Levia, oh my god, I would play Bravo and Oldham games that were, and this is like Fatigue, right? Fatigue game plan. I would play Club Levia games that were done in like 20 minutes. You know, through 5th cycle almost. But that's because I knew the deck like the back of my hand. That was my baby. Not quite the same here. Not quite the same. Oh wait, oops. Well, now I'm trolling. I should have played the Nimblism. Whatever, we'll get fancy with it. Sure. I'm sorry, opponent. This is like so BM. Oh, Scale Peeler relevant. They haven't blocked with Arcane Skullcap. Relevance. It was actually strategic to get to this point. I needed the Scale Peeler swap. I feel bad. My opponent, like, I just can't say anything to them. I can't console them. They're just sitting here thinking that their opponent is just, like, kind of being a dick. I promise it's not the case. Oh, what is it? 2 rune chance? That doesn't have go again? Wait, what? Wasn't that only 2 rune chance? Okay, whatever. I guess I'm taking that. This is why I shouldn't have blocked with Mask. I mean, the game's over anyway, but this looks so sloppy now. All right, here we go. The big win. Buff. That is just it. They can't block. GG's opponent. GG's. I can't say anything to you, but I promise I had fun. Hopefully you had fun too. That puts us at... Oh, I wish I could stick around. It'd be kind of cool to play the 50th game. Because as of now, we're at 49 games at 71. Granted, it is like Talishar, right? So you gotta dock like probably a solid 20% to start looking more realistically at like what a tournament would look like, and not even like a competitive tournament, but like a, you know, armory. So, you know, we'll call this like a real life 50%, but you also got to take a look at the fact that like this matchup sucks. This sucks. And Pokey, now that you're in chat, actually, I don't know if you heard it before. The reason I keep losing to Oldham so freaking bad is because I take Vambrace and Scale Peeler, because if they take Rampart, like, you need to have that combination, right? But the Oldhams, now that they know that assassins do that have just been taking Sledge. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. So hats off to all the Oldhim players in the room, because they just have like checkmated the matchup. There's really not much you can do. You have to take Scale Peeler and Van Brace to try to counter the fact that Oldhim can just turtle you out otherwise and just be a better weapon deck. But because you have to take those equipment pieces, the Oldhim just says, okay, I'm going to run Sledge, and I'm not even going to use Tunic for Crown ever. I'm just going to block 2, swing 2 for Sledge, block 2, play 2, block 2, play 2, block 2, play 2. And that is just so much better value than the Assassin deck can squeak out. It is pretty sad. It's pretty sad. It's real sad. No, I haven't seen Stalagmite. I think one of these losses was to like the normal Oldhim game plan, where they just take Rampart and try to fatigue out, and that was a very tight game. And I did lose it, but that was on a slightly different version of the list when I still had Plague Hive, and that card lost me the game, just hands down. It needed to be a blocking card, so I swapped it for Spreading Plague like right after that game. But all the other cards, or all the other losses, have been to Sledge Oldhim. Anyway. All right, that's going to be it for the stream, folks. Rampart and Crown are basically useless into Assassin. Amazing what new equip piece you do. Yeah, absolutely agree. Feels great. The problem is everyone going to know that? Like, are all the Guardians now never going to run that into you? So then does the Assassin player just give up on running Van Brace Scale Peeler? Like, do you then also try to answer the fact that you know they're not going to do that? I think you still take Van Brace. You probably still just always take that. But then Scale Peeler starts to feel pretty darn weak. And then you never have like the Flick Knives Nerve Scalpel line open, which probably is just weaker because they can Earth React on top of it anyway. I don't know. Not a matchup I'm a huge fan of at all, because your weapons are just not as good as their weapons, and that is just wildly frustrating. So deck's not great. Not even fun for most people, but it is sitting at a 71% after only starting to play this deck last week. So cool. That'll be it for the stream, everybody. I'll see you in Battle Hardened Richmond this weekend. You mean Azuri with contracts or Redline Azuri? Well, either one has been kind of running that combo, as Sam Dando did at Chicago Brawl. I will see you all this weekend at Battle Hardened Richmond, where we'll have the broadcast coming at you live at, I think, 9:30 on Saturday. I have a Fidia playmat giveaway. I think the plan is to give that away probably like after finals or sometime around there, so you will have to be there live. But we're giving that away from Pro Tour number 2 in celebration of Collector's Week and Pro Tour number 3, so that's pretty sick. Plus some other giveaways peppered throughout the stream. So be there or be square, and I will see you then.